Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 23rd monthly TWitWoW Q&A. Guys, we've got 68 questions this month, and we are going to answer every single one of them. It's crazy that you guys continue to turn out and turn up with all these questions every month. John, I know you've probably got a better idea of what these questions are looking like than I do, so fill me in how you're feeling this month.
Oh, brother, I'm excited. I mean, we've got wrestling questions. I think we have a few personal questions. I mean, we already know one of Ron Butter's questions is just to recap our month, which I will be excited to do. And yeah, just you guys always bring it, like Ashton just said. It amazes me that we still get the volume of questions that we do this late into Q&As. It's really unbelievable. But I guess as the world turns, so do the minds of our viewers, and that's where all these questions come from. So, partner, I'm ready to get into this whenever you are.
Yeah, absolutely. So before we get into this, I just want to remind you, John, have you done mass tagging yet? Or do people not know that we're live?
Oh, I did not do mass tagging. I guess I'll do that while you're talking and we get a little bit into this.
But, yeah. So we do have 68 questions this month, but we start out with 3 from James, which John, I'm assuming he got these in during our last Q&A while we were live.
He always does.
All right. Well, James's first question is pretty simple. Why are flat earthers allowed to breathe? Moreover, why are they allowed to breed?
Because we haven't done a good enough job making it otherwise. I don't know. It's unfortunate that they're allowed to breathe and breed, but I guess it's just a natural consequence of human rights and all that nonsense. So that's pretty much my answer to that question.
That's a perfect answer. I'm going to sign on to that, and we're going to move on. Next question from James is just for you, John. Go on a rant about flat earthers and drop a fail bomb on their parents.
Well, I mean, first of all, say the big boy word with me now. Condom. Condom. Fucking wear it next time so that we don't have to fucking suffer for it. That's first of all. Second of all, okay, why the fuck do you people believe that the earth is fucking flat when there is pure scientific fact that it's round? Go. Look at, I think Google Space is a thing. Go. You'll see images taken from satellites of the earth. I promise you, it's not fucking flat. More importantly, you shouldn't even have to go through all that trouble, okay, if you actually bothered to attend an elementary fucking science class. Jesus Christ, you people are the worst wastes of space. I mean, you know what? No, that might even be taking it too far because Nazis, racists, climate change deniers, all those people are still a thing. But you are just fucking awful, okay? You're fucking awful. Do us a favor, educate yourself for fuck's sake on basic scientific facts, and then don't come back to the table until you've known how to adult with it. My God. And then these people think that they're taking a radical stance. Oh, the truth is out there. We're on the right side of history. You ain't on the right side of shit. I'm jerking yourself off and being proud of your ignorance. This pseudoscience is dangerous. God, like, I'm not even that scientifically inclined. Like, Ashton knows this. And yet I always say, though, that I think it's an ethical imperative to understand basic scientific facts. Like, know the bare fucking minimum. For fuck's sake, it's not that, like, honestly, with all the energy you expend being ignorant, it is a significantly less expenditure being knowledgeable about shit. I don't understand why you're so resistant to that. Like, no, I don't want to learn. I want to stay like this. And you go on these tirades and you make these Twitter analytics for what? What is your cause? B.O.B. apparently had like a GoFundMe where it's like, oh, I want to launch myself into space so that I could prove that the earth is flat. You know what? I wish that campaign would have succeeded because that rocket probably would have gone the way of the Challenger and fucking exploded. And that would have been one less flat earther on the fucking planet. That's round. God, all of you just eat shit and fucking die. I can't stand the whole fucking lot of you. And honestly, even though me and James broke up again this morning, if there's one thing that we can agree on, outside of the fact that children are incredibly overrated, it's that, and say it with me now, the earth is round. I'm going to grease your palm with $5 so hopefully you buy a fucking clue. Fuck. That's my rant on flat earthers.
Well done, my friend. Well done. Next question from James is just for me.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, no. What's your question?
Question for me: how do you eat pretzels? Any particular toppings? I'm guessing this is inspired by me randomly saying during our recording that I wanted a soft pretzel. I don't know, but how do I eat pretzels? It depends, really. As far as toppings, no, just regular old salted pretzels, and then I dip them in cheese dip, like cheddar cheese dip. As far as how I eat them, my preferred soft pretzel is soft pretzel nuggets or soft pretzel sticks so that they're easier to dip. But if I have to get an actual pretzel, I'll eat like the out around the edges first, like the long strips of pretzel, and then I'll save the knot for last and dip that. That's about the extent of how I eat pretzels, though. So odd question, but I had a thorough answer. So John, are you ready to move on?
Let's move on. Yeah.
All right, 4 questions from Hypothesis. I know he said he was going to be in chat for this, so hopefully you appreciate our answers here. First up, if you were to help develop a Lucha Underground video game, what would you want it to have as a story mode?
Can I actually go first on this?
Oh, sure, yeah, absolutely. I just went in my answer. I just had a question myself, so you go.
You know, because I've said this before, like about what Lucha Underground comes off as to me. I would pattern the first Lucha Underground video game a lot like Mortal Kombat 2. And even though this wouldn't be like current LU, just to make a better game, I would have the champion / final boss be Matanza, kind of filling that Shao Kahn role. And you just kind of, like, depending on what difficulty you pick, it's a different tier of competitors. So hypothetically, Ashton, just to move the question along, say you pick easy mode, right? Maybe the hardest person outside of Matanza, of course, would be Pimpinela Escarlata, for instance. But say if you pick hard, like maybe one of the toughest challenges would obviously be like Cage with or without the gauntlet, Pentagon Dark, stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely want to go.
I feel like that's more of like an arcade mode, though. He did say story mode.
Oh, he did say story mode. I know MK, though, has done story modes in their other games. Like, I remember Mortal Kombat Shaolin Monks. Like, you had to do, it was like a co-op story mode where you had to play through all these worlds until you got to Shao Kahn. So maybe something like that. Maybe something where, like, all the tribes are kind of fighting each other. And then the winning tribe, you know, they get to all crack their hand at Matanza because he's so unstoppable that just one-to-one combat is pretty much futile. So maybe something like that, or maybe even if we could make the Mortal Kombat stuff work, which I would love to do because I'd love like a fighting game of that style. Maybe just more for a story. Maybe the story would be kind of like one of those civilization games, you know, like one of those open world map games, and it's like all the different Aztec tribes, and then the winning tribe obviously is the most powerful, the most dominant. So I don't know, maybe something like that. That's what I always think of when I think of like an LU video game. Definitely not your traditional wrestling game because it's such an open world and it's far richer than any wrestling product, but still something I guess that keeps that wrestling vibe in a way. But what about you, man? What would your Lucha Underground game concept be? As far as story goes?
I like that you kind of used Mortal Kombat as like a template or as like a blueprint. I think I would use like old like arcade side scroller like X-Men and Ninja Turtles type side scroller games as my template, where you start out as whatever character you choose. Like you would have a character select screen. You would choose Johnny Mundo. I would choose Mil Muertes, whatever. You start out as that character, and as you're like side scrolling through the game, rather than like all of these random minions, you'd be fighting masked luchadors, because that's like the random minion in the Luchaverse. Is like we've seen guys like PJ Black and Son of Havoc beat the shit out of random masked luchadors like in bars and shit. So that's what you would be fighting until you got to like each kind of main boss, which would be kind of like, you know, the bigger names. Like you would fight, you know, like your first opponent would be like Dark Puma or like a Rey Mysterio or a Puma, or not a Puma, like a Dragon Azteca, or, you know, like a Phoenix, and you would eventually work your way up. And as you go through the game, your opponents get evil, more and more evil, and also they would get stronger and stronger until I kind of have the same idea as you. Eventually, you end up at Matanza as the final boss. So yeah, I would kind of go more like X-Men, you know, 1992 X-Men arcade style, where you're going more Mortal Kombat. But I still like both ideas.
Absolutely, man. So I guess with that, we can move on to Hypothesis' next question.
All right, second question from Hypothesis. If you could have a future Pokemon region be based on any yet-to-be-used part of the world, where would that be?
Was this question for both of us? Because I feel like this is more inclined for you.
No, it's for both of us.
I really don't know how to answer that, though.
Well, from what I understand, the regions that have been used so far have been New York City, France, Japan. I think like the first like 3 gens were all different regions in Japan. And then there was also, I think the most recent one was like in Hawaii. So really just pick a region that you want to see a Pokemon game based on outside of those regions.
2 regions that come to my mind, Scotland and California would be my 2.
California was going to be one of my answers. Yeah, California would be interesting. I low key, just because of how into Lucha Underground we've been, I low key kind of want to see one based in one of like the Mexican major cities, like maybe Tijuana.
That would be really cool, dude. I like that. Yeah. All right, next question.
All right, next question from Hypothesis. Third question: would you rather have a third Super Mario Galaxy or a third Sonic Adventure?
I've always been more of a Mario guy, so I'll say Galaxy, even though I really haven't even played the first 2. But I
haven't played any of these games really. But if Sonic Adventure 3 would be anything like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle or Sonic Adventure 2, I would definitely say that, because Sonic Adventure 2 Battle was one of my like go-to amazing games when I was like a teenager when I had a GameCube. So. And let's be fair, City Escape is still to this day the single greatest video game song ever used. So just wanted to put that out there as well. Fourth and final question from Hypothesis. If Kona Reeves ends up in the WWE Hall of Fame, should Tommy Wiseau be the one to induct him?
Well, I mean, nothing really matters anymore, particularly in the Hall of Fame, so why the hell not?
Yeah, I wish I gave more of a shit about the Hall of Fame to really be like, oh, how dare you? But I just don't give a single shit about the Hall of Fame. So yeah, I mean, why wait till he retires? Let's induct Kona Reeves into the Hall of Fame now.
Okay, let's not be ridiculous. I actually kind of want to live. So,
I mean, you'll live.
Next question.
Well, we've got 4 from Brandon Best, and first up is a question for Johnny Goodfellow.
Oh yay!
Aleister Black and Kairi Sane get together. What are your thoughts if it happens?
I've been pondering this question a lot, and I don't know. Those tattoos definitely make me nervous, but if she would be happy, then I guess that's the most important thing. So I think I would approve of it because everybody deserves love. Oh.
Okay, next question is for both of us. Which WWE superstar do you think would be most likely to listen to TWitWoW?
Yeah, I'm just busy looking at the color of my vomit.
You did say WWE superstar, otherwise it would have been really easy because we already know a few Lucha Underground folks listen, but WWE superstar wise, that's a tougher one.
You know what? I mean,
I'm gonna say The Miz, just because he seems like the type that seeks out criticism.
Yeah, and really, we've been praising him a lot lately, so he'd probably even be more of a fan. It's like, oh, started at the bottom, now I'm here. Zelina's liked a couple of my tweets, so I think praising the greatness of her and Andrade, that would be wonderful. As much as it pains me, I know Ciampa wouldn't listen, because he hates everyone, as he should. Let me see here.
I mean, you are personal friends with Adam Cole, baby.
That's right, dude. I've even sent him links to the show. I hope he listened to those. I mean, probably not, because, I mean, let's be honest here. There are so many more important things in the life of Adam Cole than us. And it doesn't even really hurt me that much to admit it. But I have sent him links to the show. So I would hope that I could say Adam Cole.
Baby.
I apologize. You know, I talked to Chris Jericho one time. Maybe I could be like, oh, hey, remember me? I went to that one autograph signing before you went all crazy and started attacking New Japan stars. So maybe he would. I want to give at least one more answer. I think Samoa Joe would ride with what I got, because I endorse everything he's about. So, yeah, I'm going to say fucking Samoa Joe. Yeah, nice. He's riding with us. Yeah.
All right. Up next, third question from Brandon Best. What type of boyfriend/girlfriend do you think each promotion represents? And he specified WWE, New Japan, and Lucha Underground.
For me, WWE represents the toxic relationship.
Yeah, WWE. That's the thing, though. WWE isn't like physically abusive, but WWE is the type of in my case, it would be girlfriend because I am heterosexual. WWE would be the type of girlfriend that refuses to get a job, leeches all of your money off of you, barely even appreciates you, and really like the sex just isn't there. There's nothing good about it. But every now and then, like once every like 3 to 4 months, you just have this mind-blowing night of amazing just spending time with each other, and the sex is incredible. Just everything just comes together like 3 times a year, and it's incredible, and that's why you stick with her. New Japan though, like New Japan's fun. New Japan, I think New Japan is probably the healthiest relationship here, because New Japan is that girl where you're like, you've been together for like 5 years, but you still have fun and you still go out on dates and you still enjoy each other's company. And it's like the relationship hasn't gotten old yet. And even though you're starting to notice little things that are like, oh, well, this is kind of repetitive, you still play along because you just love each other so much. Lucha Underground, though, Lucha Underground is the girl that never wants to leave the bed and just has all kinds of crazy sex and brings out the Kama Sutra and has ridiculous, like, tries all kinds of different positions and does different things in different places that might not necessarily be conventional but end up being fun anyway. So WWE is toxic, like John said. New Japan is probably the healthiest relationship, and Lucha Underground is, I mean, it's a healthy relationship, but it's way more adventurous.
Lucha Underground reminds me of like that. I always forget her actress name, but the redheaded chick in Wedding Crashers. Because like
Isla Fisher.
Yeah, I love it because it's like there's definitely a love there and like a connection there that is intimate. But man, they're into that crazy kinky shit, man. Like, God damn. I really agree with your assessments of WWE and New Japan. I already said WWE is toxic. I was going to say that New Japan, I mean, you articulated it far better than I could have, because I was just going to say that they are that longtime partner that, like, yeah, they make questionable decisions at times, but they're so consistent and so loyal. Like, you're able to work through it, rather than with WWE where you always feel like you're on the verge of breaking up. So yeah, I essentially co-signed everything you said. So I think we can move on to our next question.
All right. Up next, fourth and final question from Brandon, intended only for me. You and I have a match. How would you want me to put you over? Really, if we had a match, all I would really ask of you is that you just ragdoll like freaking Dolph Ziggler, Sasha Banks style for me to make me look good. That's about the extent of it.
Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. Next question.
We've got 4 from Racist Fan Rocks, but the first 2 are just for me. First one, if you have seen this year's slate of Thursday, Sunday, and Monday night football games, which are you looking forward to most, not counting Falcons games? Well, I'll tell you what, man. I'm going to look that up. I'm going to look up the 2018 NFL schedule, and I am going to look at I'm going to look at the big games, like you said, the Sunday, Monday, Tuesday games. That, I believe, is the preseason schedule. Fucking goddamn. So I found the preseason schedule. Let me find the regular season schedule. There we go. All right, let's see. Week 1, obviously I can't say the first game, which is Falcons-Eagles, but that will be good. Bears-Packers, Jets. Tell you what, if there is a game this year between the Colts, you know what, there are going to be multiple games this year between the Colts and the Texans because they're in the same division, and the Colts and the Titans. Those games are all going to be fun. Let me find what weeks they are and then what weeks they're primetime games. Let's see, because that's my answer. It's one of those 2 games. I'm going to look later in the season. Let's see if there's a week 17 game between them. No, not week 17. How about week 16? Colts Giants. No. I'm going to keep going. Let's see what week 15 looks like. No, man, AFC South got robbed this year. They definitely should have more primetime games. Titans, Jags, but who gives a shit about the Jaguars? They're not even going to make the playoffs this year, guys. Everyone's talking up the Jaguars because they were good in 2017. Well, guess what? Volatility is a thing. Year to year volatility they're not going to do it again this year. They're going to have a harder schedule this year. They're not going to make the playoffs. I would put money on that shit. Here we go. Oh no, damn it. I don't want a match between them. I want a match between the Colts and one of them. Son of a bitch. I'm not going to find it, am I? It's not going to be a primetime game, is it? You know what? I'm just going to go to the Colts schedule. I'm going to bring up the Indianapolis Colts, because that's Andrew Luck is probably my second favorite quarterback in the league right now. So I'm going to look at the Colts schedule, 2018, view regular season schedule. Who are their opponents, and are any of them primetime? Colts have one primetime game this year against the Patriots, so I'll just say that for the sake of ending this question. Colts, Patriots, primetime, I think it was week 6. Second question from Racist Fan Rocks. If the Color Rush jerseys have come out by then, what teams have the nicest and ugliest jerseys? So I did look earlier, and I think the ugliest Color Rush jerseys are the Giants and the Bengals. I think the Giants have, like, their palette is just ugly because it's like a bright blue and a bright red, and those colors don't work. Like, there are other teams that are red and blue, but it's like a way darker blue that works better with the red, whereas the Giants, it's like a bright, ugly blue and red combination that just clashes and hurts the eyes to look at. And the Bengals jerseys are just white with like black numbers. Like, they're lame as hell. There's barely any orange on them. It's lame. As far as the jerseys that I think look really good, you know what? Let me pull it back up. NFL Color Rush, because I did have a jersey that I thought looked really good. I like black jerseys. So it was the Cardinals. It was the Cardinals jerseys. I think the Cardinals jersey looks sick. They've got a really cool design. It's like black, but then like the dark red with the white outline looks so cool. Here, John. You know what, John? Since you're here, I'm actually going to post a link to one of the thumbnails for the Cardinals jersey in chat. You can check that out. It's really cool looking. I think these jerseys are sick.
All right. Yeah, let's see. Okay, there it is. I was looking in the Google thing, sorry. Oh, yeah, those do look good. Damn.
Yeah, I absolutely love the Cardinals Color Rush jerseys. I don't even think the Cardinals are going to be good this year, but they're going to be styling, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
So that's my question for the Color Rush. And now on to our third question from Racist Fan Rocks. If you create, and this is for both of us, by the way, if you create a cartoon/anime and you have to use the elements, what kind of show is it?
I'm sorry, Ashton, I didn't catch part of that question. Can you repeat it again? Because I'd like to answer first.
I'm a little bit confused by the wording too. Hopefully we are able to interpret this correctly. If you create a cartoon/anime and you have to use the elements, what kind of show is it?
The elements, so like water, earth, fire, air.
I think that's what he meant. Yeah, I think that is what he meant.
I would just want to do another Avatar show, but this time have the primary bender be like an earthbender, having to learn water, fire, and air. That would just be me. I mean,
yeah, I would definitely be all aboard on that. By the way, just try and move a little closer to your mic because you are quiet.
Oh, apologies. Yeah, so I'm pretty much saying that I'd just create another Avatar show, but with the Avatar being an earthbender primarily, and then having to learn water, fire, and air, because I just feel like that's the easiest way if we're talking about using elements and shit. So
I think I would combine different aspects of Avatar and Pokemon and have like the people don't have powers, but there are like creatures. And you know what? Fuck it. If I'm making an anime based on the elements, I'm making Golden Sun the anime. The people have certain abilities that they can use, and there are little creatures walking around that can use abilities of those elements too. And if you combine the creatures, they can turn into gigantic ass monsters to attack enemies. That's literally Golden Sun, the anime. And I've wanted that shit for like 15 years now. So yes, that's my answer. Golden Sun, the anime.
All right, let's move on.
Fourth and final question from Racist Fan Rocks. Who do you see in the crowd at this year's NXT TakeOver Brooklyn and the TakeOver before next year's Mania?
Hopefully Io Shirai.
Please, her and Keith Lee.
On the downside, I could definitely see Eli Drake being a crowd guy.
Oh, if he's going to be a crowd guy, though, it won't be at Brooklyn. It'll be at next year's Mania. So that can be your answer for that. And ew, gross.
Yeah, so that'll be my answer for that, and Shirai will be my answer for Brooklyn.
All right, my answer for Brooklyn is both Shirai and Keith Lee. I think they're both going to be in the crowd.
Okay.
God, I hope Io passes her physical, man. She is going to light the freaking world on fire when she shows up. As far as next year's Mania, you know what? I saw Cliff Amal say keep dreaming Flip. I think Flip Gordon might be a potential NXT signee.
Ooh, that would be very interesting.
Yeah, that would be fun, right? And you know what? Another name I'll throw out there along the same lines. I know New Japan does year-to-year contracts, so maybe Ospreay.
Oh, yeah, that could be. That could be. Yeah, we'll see.
Right. So I gave 2 answers for both shows. How about that, John?
Well, geez, Ashton. God, I know it
I'm
was a
just over here
contest.
overachieving like a mark.
Yeah, joke's on you. Next question.
First question from Rotten Butter, and it's the usual first question from Rotten Butter. So I'm just gonna let
I will go first on this.
Yes, please do.
Because it's actually been quite a fun month for me. As far as like stuff that you and I have watched, Black Panther, Thor Ragnarok, which was great.
Dude, Thor Ragnarok was so good. I even posted on Facebook last night. To me, Thor Ragnarok is the best comedy movie to come out in the last 5 years.
Yeah, dude, it was so fucking good. Me and the family, because Fridays I spend time with my family. We finished The Marvelous Miss Maisel, which is an Amazon Prime show. Really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Watched more seasons of The Challenge. We got through Vendettas, and I think we're still working through Champs vs. All Stars. As far as me though, the biggest development this month easily has been me broadening my music taste. Whenever we talk about music, I'd be like, oh, some 3 Days Grace here, some Breaking Benjamin there. And I still like those guys, but I'm like, you know what? I'm sick of this shit. I'm going to branch out. So I pulled up my Spotify because I want to read to you guys everything that's in my Spotify library. These are the groups that I've discovered, and they're in here either because I liked one song, or if they're really good, I like more than one song. I have got Mosaic, which they're a relatively new band. They've got like 2 songs I really like. Ravenface, who I fucking adore. They're a UK rock band. I even kind of petitioned for them because I know Brandon has asked for Cane Hill to be on a takeover. I want Ravenface to contribute a track for a takeover. They are so good. Late Night Savior, they're pretty decent. Breathing Theory, they're really good. Discrepancies, they're like a rap rock group that's very interesting to me. I got more into Starset. I knew some of their music before, but I've listened to more of their stuff, and you know what? I think they're more hit than miss for me. Lacuna Coil, they've apparently been around forever, but I just discovered them when I was watching this video, and one of their songs was used called Trip the Darkness. That was really good. Brother Gray is nice. Highway Saints did add Rise Against, but we all knew about them already. Every Hour Kills, who, oh my God, I've grown to love these guys. 2 of their tracks I have been playing nonstop. I am like in a huge honeymoon phase with these guys. And I've given myself more to the Foo Fighters, but I really haven't rendered a verdict on them yet. I think I like them more than I don't. And Panic at the Disco came out with a new song, which was just fantastic. So, yeah, this is a big month for me in terms of music. I was very happy with it. As far as shows and stuff go, because I know you and I are working through Game of Thrones, which has been wonderful. We'll probably work more through season 4 tonight. Still been playing 2K16. Now that I'm done all my philosophy work, because I finished my Rick and Morty edits last night before bed, I am going to probably bulk up my Steam library, hopefully. So hopefully for June, I'll be able to tell you guys more new games that I'm playing. But yeah, really the music thing was the big thing for me. And I think with that, I'm just going to hand it over to Ashton. Ashton, what do you got to clue our people in on this month?
Well, I was fortunate enough to go see Infinity War in 3D, and it was great, and it was depressing as all hell, but I won't go any further into it because John hasn't seen it yet, and I don't want to spoil anything for him or anyone else that hasn't seen it yet. So I did see Infinity War, so if you guys want to ask any questions about that for next month, feel free. Haven't seen Deadpool 2 yet, but am planning on seeing that in June, hopefully. And as far as movies, that's about it. Thor Ragnarok and Black Panther were the 2 big ones. So yeah, those were great. Black Panther was a movie that was good, but I feel like it left me really more just wanting more rather than being like, oh my God, this is an amazing standalone movie. Because as a standalone movie, I'd say it was like 8 out of 10, but as a way to set up for future movies, 11 out of 10. Because that movie just set up such an amazing universe and such an amazing world and character that I can't wait to get more of it. And Thor Ragnarok, if that is the last Thor movie ever, it's a shame because that was the best Thor movie ever. And I feel like Taika Waititi is the perfect director for that series. And he got Thor, even though he didn't make Thor anything like comic Thor, he still managed to do so much justice to that character. He got Thor right in a sense that he made Thor entertaining again, which I know a lot of people, at the very least, Thor 2, The Dark World, hated that movie. I didn't hate that movie as much. But the Thor movies in general have kind of been broadly panned by critics, just not seen as good. But then Ragnarok just knocked it out of the park. So that was amazing. As far as television shows go, yeah, John pretty much nailed it. Pretty much just Game of Thrones, not really anything else. Music, I've been, continuously kind of updating my playlists. Added songs by Alice in Wonderland, and I love this too because her first name is Allison, so it's not like Alice in Wonderland; it's Allison Wonderland. I think that's cool. Tom Walker, Cascade, and Phoebe Ryan. LSD is a new collaboration between Sia, Diplo, and Labyrinth, and they put out a song called Genius that's freaking amazing. It's so good. Tove Strike has a new song out. Charlie Puth dropped an album, but the only song out of his new album, out of the new stuff that I hadn't heard before that I added was called Empty Cups, because I really prefer his bop songs to his slower Morning or I Love You Baby, that kind of song. I'm not as into those. I like the more upbeat stuff. I gotta say 5 Seconds of Summer have been putting out some pretty good music lately. They put out a song a little while ago that I liked, and then they just put out a song very recently called Youngblood that's a fucking jam. I love that song. That song's so good. Asia, thanks to Asia in Discord, she's also in chat right now, Bullet Club versus the Shield, introduced me to Jesse Reyes, and Jesse Reyes also put out a new song called Body Count that I added to my playlist. Newish artist, I think. I don't even know for sure. I should probably look it up so that I don't look stupid. Named Sigrid or Sigrid. I don't know really how to pronounce it. It seems kind of like a Scottish name. High Five is a new song that she put out, and Kyle just dropped an album that was so good that I was actually listening to when John signed on today. Kyle's new album is wonderful. It's it really kind of locks him into me as Kid Cudi's spiritual successor. And I love Kid Cudi. So of course it would make sense that I would love Kyle too. So that's that. Let's see. Also discovered Bryce Vine. Bryce Vine is goddamn amazing. Added more Lauv to my playlist. Downloaded Post Malone's new CD, which was Beer Bongs and Bentleys. That was pretty solid. Just kind of revisiting a bunch of stuff like that. Obviously, more to say later about This Is America by Childish Gambino. We'll get to that. We've got a couple questions about that, so that should be fun. But yeah, that's about the extent of the new music that I've added. I already told you guys about the movies and really TV shows, just Game of Thrones. We're in middle of season 4 right now, so we're really doing a good job of catching me up because John has caught up. He's already seen everything, but he's just doing a rewatch for himself and getting me caught up in the meantime. So that's a lot of fun. So we can move on now. Up next from Rotten Butter, what happened to you two watching Steins Gate? Why would you lie to us?
Because Ashton is horrible. No, I'm just kidding. I could have easily sold you out here, but we are a package deal. I really do want to watch Steins Gate with Ashton, but here's the thing, Ryan Butter. We have so much stuff that we want to do. I mean, I'd like to say that maybe there's an opening now for us to do it, but now, the priority seems to be Game of Thrones since they're going to be coming back next year. And yeah, I do want to watch more anime with Ashton one of these days because I would like to broaden his knowledge beyond DBZ and whatever else he's watched. And Steins Gate would be a wonderful place to start. I just couldn't even honestly tell you when that's going to be in the cards, and I wouldn't even want to try to because then that's going to be nailed down, and then you're going to be like, oh, you said you were going to do it here and you didn't, and it's just going to be on a cycle that's just painful for everybody involved. So yeah, that's pretty much how I feel about that. Do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, really what John said as far as just us having a shit ton of stuff that we want to do, I can't emphasize that enough because you got to realize that we kind of are trying to rope my mom into the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and we've been through all the movies, but we still have to finish out Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. We've only gotten through the first 3 seasons of AOS, so we still have the entirety of seasons 4 and 5 to get through with that. Plus, we still want to watch The Runaways and Inhumans, and there was something else that we wanted to watch that I completely forgot about. Plus, we've got season 2 of Luke Cage coming up. Plus, as far as movies go, I know that we want to watch New Mutants. That, I think, came out in April. So when that becomes available online to watch, we're going to do that. We just have a lot of superhero-related stuff that we want to watch. And quite frankly, I still do want to watch Justice League at some point, even if it did get pretty poor reviews. But So did Batman versus Superman, and I enjoyed that movie too. So it's just one of those things where there are just some movies that critics don't like that I do, and I'm okay with that. So yeah, it's really not like we're not going out of our way to avoid Steins Gate. We don't hate you guys. We're not lying. We're just, trying to find the right time, which is not anytime soon, probably, unfortunately.
All right, next question.
Third question from Rotten Butter. Would you be interested in a wrestling game that was not totally in kayfabe, where you would have to deal with things like selling and backstage politics and stuff like that?
One day we probably will get that kind of wrestling game, because I feel like realism, at least as far as like in open worlds, is kind of thing right now. But then realism, I think, is going to have to shift gears one of these days. So I could totally see that. But would I be interested? Nah, man. I just want to go back to the simpler mechanics of, like, say, Here Comes the Pain. Just give me a season mode that I could play with any superstar rather than a select few. Let me level them up. Let me win championships, which I know universe mode is kind of like, but it's not as good because you don't get the in-depth storylines. I just want something simpler. We don't need to like up the ante, in the opposite direction. You know what I mean? So I don't think I'd be interested personally. What about you, Ashton?
I think it would be cool if we got something wrestling, basically something like wrestling's answer to Madden's franchise mode, because Madden has a franchise mode where you become the decision maker for a team, and you can choose to have a fantasy draft where all of the NFL players get put into a big pool and 32 teams draft their rosters from that. Or you can just go right into the beginning of the next season and make roster moves and stuff like that. And then you can play through the games, or if you really want to be as hands off as possible, you can just let the whole season simulate and then see what the results are and then start the next offseason making roster moves and stuff. So if we could get something along those lines as far as wrestling goes, where your job is to try and make compelling storylines, and you have to put wrestlers against each other and write different promos and stuff, and the feedback, rather than like a win-loss record like it would be in Madden, the feedback is crowd reaction. Like, you'd be able to, maybe they'd use like a decibel meter to see how loud the crowd gets for certain acts. And you can use that, and you can get like minute by minute ratings and like 15-minute rating things from TV and like pay-per-view buy rates and shit to figure out what's working and what isn't. I think that would be amazing, but it would have to be put out by WWE because of licensing costs, because it's just not the same when it's like, you're booking, a Scotty McDickface to go one-on Terry, whatever the fuck his name is. And it's like, there's no connection there if it's just random names that don't mean anything. But if you see like, oh, well, here's Roman Reigns, let's turn him heel, then it's like there's that intrinsic value that you feel because you're familiar with these characters already. So really, if a game like that would happen to exist, it wouldn't be the same unless you were able to use the names and likenesses of actual performers in the wrestling industry.
You know what? That actually seems kind of nice to me. So yeah, great answer, man. And,
of course. Are you seeing chat right now? God.
Yeah, I giggled too.
Fourth and final question from Rotten Butter. How can mirrors be real if our eyes aren't real? Shut the fuck up, Jaden Smith. You know nothing.
He really should be smacked. Yet another reason why postpartum abortion should be a thing. All right, next question.
Oh, we've got 4 questions from Thomas Oliver, and he even started the comment with, "Hey there, Green Ranger back here," with another few questions. First up, what do you think WWE would be like if none of the Ring of Honor guys went there? And then he lists a bunch of, Ring of Honor guys like Rollins, Cesaro, Cole, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, all those guys, Punk, Bryan, etc.
Honestly, given what a presence they've had, when you put it that way, it probably kind of suck. Especially because Rollins is like having the run of his career right now to me, and Zayn is just delightful as a heel. We could probably afford to lose Kevin Owens, and I never thought I'd be able to say that unironically.
You know what, though, dude? We've also got to think about opportunity cost, because if those guys never went to WWE would have found other people to push, and it's not like they're at a loss for talented performers. We could literally be seeing guys like Tyler Breeze and Fandango in the main event, and I wouldn't mind that at all.
I wouldn't mind that either. Really, the big question is, is would their presence or their absence, this being the ROH guys that went to WWE, really have any effect in the long run on just Roman Reigns being the guy in the central project? I don't think so. And I think when you frame it that way, the answer kind of loses some of its power and consequence. But even that aside, I could see what you're saying.
I don't know, man. If they would have started pushing, because we got to remember Big E got to the main roster before Roman. If they would have pulled the trigger on him, he might have made Vince, look a little bit past Roman, and we wouldn't have to worry about that.
Yeah, I can definitely see where you're coming from, because that is the one big thing, right? We've even mentioned this before, just in general, with how WWE gobbles up indie talent, or just not even necessarily indie, but we'll say like alternative promotions, right? Like whether they be ROH or New Japan. It's that like you then have to make less of an expenditure to build your own talent, because you circumvent that process by just getting somebody else that's already been groomed elsewhere. And by losing all those game pieces, you really do have to look at your roster and be like, okay, we're in a bit of a slump. We can elevate Dongo. We can elevate Breeze. We can elevate these guys. So, yeah, you know what? I definitely think the landscape would be drastically different, both with what it's lacking and what it has. I just don't know if that difference would be superior or worse to what we have now. And there's no way that I could really be able to answer that, because on one hand, I'm influenced by the bias of what we are getting now.
Yeah.
And then two,
you know what, though? I think I'm going to go the other direction. I'm going to go out of my way to say that I think that the wrestling industry as a whole would actually be healthier right now had those guys stayed away from WWE. And I'm wording it that way specifically because I'm not going to say if they had stayed with Ring of Honor, because they don't have to stay with that one company. They could have gone to New Japan. They could have joined up with Lucha Underground. They could have gone to TNA. They could have gone anywhere they wanted. But just avoiding WWE, I think, would have made the industry as a whole healthier, because that would have forced WWE to actually create new stars rather than relying on stars that were already established outside of their company to come in and take up the mantle.
Yeah. I can definitely see what you're saying, man. Like it really is, at face value, you think it's either not a big deal or it is whatever. But then when you really start to think about the deeper ramifications of it, it's like, oh shit, that actually is. Like, I didn't even realize when you frame it that way, just how much of a presence they have on the current product. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with everything you're saying, man. So that's the best I could say about that. We can move on to our next question.
Second question, and if they did all stay in Ring of Honor, do you think that Ring of Honor would be more successful? And I'm going to start here by saying no, I don't, because the reason that those guys are household names isn't because of themselves, it's because of the platform of the WWE. So even though they are incredible, talented performers, having never left Ring of Honor, I don't think that Ring of Honor would magically, grow their fan base just because of these great talented performers, because they've had great talented performers forever. The way that you grow a fan base isn't just by putting on a great product, it's by promoting and getting better TV deals and more exposure. I think that that's actually a problem that Lucha Underground is facing right now, where the product is incredible and most people that watch it agree that the product is incredible, but they're severely lacking in the exposure department. So I think that that's a problem that Ring of Honor would have faced as well. So they might be a little bit bigger than they are now had a bunch of those guys stuck around, but I don't think it would have been much of a difference, if any at all.
Just to tack on, I don't think it would have made a damn bit of difference, because not just the exposure issue, but you could have the best talent in the world, and we've seen this with WWE currently, but internal issues matter. We have said for years, ROH pulls the trigger way too late on a lot of acts and really doesn't know what to do with others when they're either like cooling down or heating up. I just feel like they're just kind of like, oh, well, I think they feel like they have too much time on their hands instead of not enough. And I feel like the better writing comes when you have the latter disposition. Like, we don't have a lot of time, let's really get to where we need to go. But I mean, ROH rests on their fucking laurels. So to me, they would need a good kick in the ass as far as the creative side of things go. Like, the idea that Dalton Castle only just recently became ROH World Champion is a joke. Like, I'm happy he's having his run, but he was hotter.
Now he's going to lose it to Cody at War of the Worlds.
Yeah, Cody's going to be a two-time Ring of Honor champion, which, like, fuck that. Yeah. So, yeah, like, and again, we're seeing it with WWE. We've got all these talented guys, and yet some of the booking decisions you guys know, I find to be fucking maddening. Same thing with ROH. So, no, I don't really think it would have made much difference. Like, maybe they would have been at that TNA level where, like, people within a close proximity are, like, talking about it, like, within the States. But like Ashton said, I don't think the exposure would really get large enough to make any significant kind of a difference. So,
yeah, exactly. All right. Third question from Thomas Oliver. Ring of Honor must be doing something right to have so many stars to go out to the WWE, don't you think? And again, I'm going to just say not really, because the talent isn't determined by the promotion. The talent is there whether they're in Ring of Honor or not. The talent is out there. Like right now, for example, you've got Matt Riddle, you've got Keith Lee, you've got a bunch of guys that aren't in Ring of Honor. So really, if Ring of Honor did anything right, it's just talent scouting, which is something that, you know, it's volatile. There are hits and misses no matter what. So you're going to get some guys right and some guys wrong. And it's kind of like one of those, a broken clock is still right twice a day things. Like, yeah, you're going to miss more than you hit. But if you hit a few times, then those guys turn out to be stars and they end up going to the WWE. That doesn't make you any better of a company. That just means that you got lucky.
Yeah, I mean, really, if ROH is doing something right, the talent would want to stay there instead of go to WWE.
Right?
Like,
yeah, exactly. I mean, you already brought up, like, why, you know, what do you think the WWE would be like if none of the Ring of Honor guys went there? Well, why did those Ring of Honor guys go there in the first place? It was because Ring of Honor wasn't offering them the kind of money and the kind of, you know, lifestyles that they wanted. They weren't, you know, it was that they weren't being paid enough. They weren't being challenged enough. They weren't being given a big enough platform. So Ring of Honor, the only thing that I would say Ring of Honor is doing right is managing to find people that are talented enough to be good enough to eclipse Ring of Honor.
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better myself. Let's move on.
All right, fourth and final question from Thomas Oliver. Are the Lucha Underground spotlights coming back? Probably not, but never say never.
I actually flattered somebody thought of those. But yeah, I agree with you. It doesn't really seem like the time, because we're still doing our rewatch. That's really the popular series right now when we're not in season, that is. And yeah, it's the best I could say about that. So let's move on.
All right, up next, we've got 4 questions from Super Blue. First up, how screwed are we if/when net neutrality dies, and how it affect TWitWoW and wrestling companies?
I actually wanted you to go first, mainly for like the TWitWoW front, because you'd probably know better than me how TWitWoW would be affected if net neutrality would go to shit.
See, that's the thing, though. I don't know, because it's such a small scale as far as the operation that we run. I really don't think that we would be too heavily affected. I would say the worst possible thing that would happen is that you and I would have higher internet bills, and that, like, that's, or maybe like they would start charging people an extra fee to be able to go to the Patreon website, and that would suck ass, because then, I mean, I don't want you guys to have to pay a fee just to get to Patreon, and then on top of that be donating money to us for Patreon. So that would definitely hurt us income wise. But as far as how it would affect TWitWoW as a product, probably not at all, honestly.
Yeah, you can't get rid of us, guys. We're gonna be sticking around. As far as the whole enterprise, though, I mean, I think we already answered a question like this several Q&As back, but yeah. I think we have enough distance that I could just say again very briefly. Like, I've seen stories from friends, because when the first big vote from the FCC was coming in, a lot of people shared their stories about what net neutrality has given them. One of my friends was an immigrant. She came here with her parents, and because of net neutrality and because of a free and open internet, she was able to get an education, and that education, you know, led her to MIT. I've even said for myself personally that net neutrality has allowed me to do philosophy independently and not go thousands of dollars into debt with a formal education. You know, and it has opened me up to opportunities and pathways to build relationships in my field that I find incredibly meaningful. And those are only 2 stories, guys, of many. Now, I don't know what's going to happen with net neutrality, because I know the Senate voted to keep it, but it still has to go through the House, which I think is Republican leaning. But as I was even talking about with James, because I want to do justice to both sides, apparently even like a lot of Republicans want to keep net neutrality in place. So really, it might just come down to what Trump wants to do. And of course, he probably has special interest groups that want to like get rid of net neutrality, and that'll probably be the death blow. But I think what really sickens me about our process, I would never want to speak for Ashton here, but just my opinion, we've voted on this before, and I feel like this should just be a vote. I don't know if you like, because I really don't even know. I'm ignorant of like the mechanisms and stuff at play, and I'm not going to lie about that. But I would love if like we could, I don't know, enshrine the internet, maybe even not necessarily as like a human right, but as like a constitutional protection or something, so we don't have.
I just think they need to classify the internet as a utility so that it can't have the same jurisdiction, or so that the FCC can't have jurisdiction over it, period.
I agree, because like, here's the thing. I know, like, and I'm not even saying this caustically, but I know my grandmother, for instance, like is no interest in connecting to the internet. And I know some old people, though, not all, because I know some are also quite tech savvy and internet savvy, but some don't want to have anything to do with it. I don't understand how, as like people in our age group or younger or, a bit older, like just people in general, I don't know how you navigate this space today without the internet. Because like it just seems like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's connected to everything.
Well, maybe we should ask someone in China, since the Chinese government is basically fascist and censors the shit out of.
Oh yeah, well I even did a report on what they call the Great Firewall of China. But you see that the people, like, they're not able to be. And I was even thinking about writing a paper for a publication that actually pays for philosophy papers. And I was thinking about writing on the whole net neutrality thing, because I don't even understand. If we call ourselves a democracy, which I'm not saying we are, but if we're looking at democracy abstractly and we're looking at political participation, I don't understand how you can maximize political participation without the internet today. Because you see how like political movements and stuff are coordinated, like through Twitter, like Black Lives Matter, for instance, right? And like that's all done through the internet. Hell, one of the most influential papers I read in my economics class was, oddly enough, right, given the first set of questions from James, the Earth is flat. And it meant to say that, like, with an internet connection, there were countries that before weren't able to be economic competitors. And now they're able to. Like, India is the big example, right? Because of the whole telemarketing kind of business and, like, stuff like that. Because of internet, they became, like, a main stage player. The internet revolutionized everything. And if you take away net neutrality and you make it kind of this privileged commodity based on these tiers, and like people that could afford it based on their tax bracket and other people that maybe they could, but it would be an immense struggle. I don't know. In fact, I'll even go as far as saying, I think I did say this to James. It's funny because we're such a developed country. We are a first world nation. And you and I have even talked about this, Ashton, that I don't really see any revolutionary potential in us. I think that we're reformists through and through. We're only going to want to make the system more palatable. But I think if you were to take the internet away, that'd probably be the closest we would get to revolutionary potential, because I think people would be like taking away my fucking internet, and like you would see like open riots and shit like that. This is not something you want to fuck with to me, but I think they are going to fuck with it, and that's where I'm really cynical. So that's probably the most I've talked all Q&A, and that's all I'm going to say about it, Ash. Unless there's anything you want to tack on, I'm good, brother. I've said my piece.
No. Let's move on. Second question from Super Blue: what Power Ranger team, if any, could beat Godzilla?
What superhero team could beat Scott? I mean, Superman by himself.
Power Ranger team.
Oh, Power Ranger team. Oh, wow. I really can't answer this though, because I haven't really watched much Power Rangers.
Yeah, I haven't really watched a ton of Power Rangers either, but just based on what I've heard, Power Rangers in time, since I guess they could go back in time and kill Godzilla before he's born.
Yeah, I guess I'll just tack onto that because I really don't know any other way to answer. So.
Power Rangers Time Force, I think that's what they're called.
All right. Well, I guess next question.
All right. Third question from Super Blue: how do you feel about sports gambling being legal thanks to the Supreme Court and gambling as a whole?
Honestly, I think it's a good thing. I mean, am I a gambler personally? No, but if like that's like a recreational outlet for them, fine. I really don't see an issue with it personally. I never really got why that was an issue in the first place. Ashton, maybe you're smarter than me on this. I mean, you are the more sports guy in general and stuff like that, but yeah. I personally don't care. I think it's fine. What about you? You have any qualms about it?
Well, the thing is, I think it's a great decision because I think it's a freedom that people should have.
Right.
But it's a freedom along the same lines of people being legally allowed to, play blackjack for money or go to casinos or play the lottery, anything that's a gamble. And yes, I think people should definitely have the freedom and ability to do that. But at the same time, there are going to be a lot of people that ruin their fucking lives doing it. So I definitely agree that it should be legal, but just a fucking warning to people with addictive personalities is know how to control yourself, I guess, in these situations.
Yeah, I mean, you're pretty much articulating my sentiments exactly, because I mean, obviously I would like for a healthier society, but I don't think that's necessarily something that you can legislate. You know what I mean? Like, I once heard that like Michael Bloomberg, who's the mayor of New York, he wanted to put a tax on like soda drinks that were of a particular ounce. So like once you get to a particular ounce, there's like a tax added onto it because he wanted to try and fight the obesity epidemic. And one, I feel like there are much better avenues you can take than another tax. It's just going to piss people off. And two, trying to legislate, because essentially it's trying to legislate morality and legislating public health. You know, I am glad that we have things like Surgeon General's warnings and things like that. In fact, I even heard that there was going to be a Surgeon General's warning put on California Starbucks. Remember when I told you that a while back? Like that stuff I'm cool with. But when you outright make the decision for people, it's one thing if you let them know the consequences, right? It's like if you tell me, if you punch me in the face, I'm going to punch you back. And it's not going to be good. But you can't, I mean, well, not in this sense anyway. You can't stop me from punching you in the face. Either I'm going to do it and suffer consequences or I'm not. The decision should rest with me. And that's really where I feel about this. So I think you articulated my sentiments perfectly. So I guess we can move on to our next question.
Yeah, and really, I mean, as far as the soda tax goes, like I don't really even have a problem with that. Like if you find scientific evidence that something is having negative effects on people, I don't think you should make a law to ban them from doing it. But if you want to charge them more to do that, I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's another discussion for another time, but we can move on to our next.
I mean, if you think about it, aren't speeding tickets literally the same thing as taxes?
I feel like we're getting more of a gray area though, because when you're speeding, right, you're doing so on a public good. Whereas, like, if I buy a soda, that's going to be me to personally consume, unless, of course.
Okay. How about click it or ticket? Wearing your seatbelt isn't doing the public any good, but it is a personal health thing, and you can get fined for it.
I mean, I guess in a way, but like if you're not wearing your seatbelt while you're on the road, then it's kind of part in a way of like that same public good. Because like you could have collateral damage. It's not like somebody's going to be watching you from the parking lot, right? You putting your belt on? No, it's only when you get out on the open road and have the potential to endanger others that really becomes a concern, I feel like.
Right, but you not wearing your seatbelt doesn't directly endanger others. It endangers you.
I mean, yeah, most immediate. I guess there is no way other people could be damaged if you don't wear a seatbelt, huh? Unless, no. I don't know. See, dude, it's a murkier question to me, honestly. I really couldn't answer that without giving it more thought that I really don't want to spend here because we have other questions. But yeah, I don't think it's as straightforward. Yeah, I just really can't commit to that right away.
Hey, man, that's fine. I just wanted to raise the questions. Let's move on.
I know. I appreciate it. Next question.
Fourth question and final question from Super Blue. What are the pros and cons of SmackDown moving to Fox? This is going to be fun.
I mean, the first pro, obvious, money.
Yeah, literally $1 billion. It's
$1 billion.
$1 billion.
I would like to think that the pro would mean that money could be used for like other stuff, like bringing back Talking Smack
or Pyro.
God, fuck Pyro.
I like Pyro.
Hey, tone your face down. Anyway.
How much bigger of a deal did Neville feel like when he had Pyro?
It didn't really help matters in the long run, did it?
Well, he didn't leave the company until after they took Pyro away.
That's what it was really about. Fuck me being undervalued. Give me my Pyro, damn it.
Damn right.
Really the biggest cons, I don't like that it's on Fridays, but I hear that it's going to stay live, which I don't know. I prefer it live. Why the hell not?
I mean, yeah, that's the good thing. That's a big pro to me.
What, the live thing or the Friday thing? Because I did differentiate.
The live thing, the fact that it's live. I mean, the Friday thing isn't necessarily good because Friday nights is kind of where, like, that's kind of like, we've already witnessed that with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That's kind of where certain shows go to die in a way. Like, that's where they'll stick you if they feel like, well, we want to keep you around, but we're not really going to give you a chance to succeed.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it's earlier on in the night, though. It's not like with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., that's 10 to 11 p.m., whereas this is 8 to 10 p.m.
Really, the biggest con to me, and I am going to be that guy, because I guess one of us has to be, is I feel like when you get awarded that kind of cash sum, you're pretty much rewarding the status quo. You're telling Vince and the people that make the decisions that what they're doing is working and that their voices, I mean, as if Vince could be convinced otherwise, but their voices are the only ones that matter and that there should be no inclination to change. There should be no inclination to look inward, because why look inward when you look outward and you see this pile of cash in front of you? So I think that would probably be the biggest con, is that this really just solidifies and reaffirms the status quo that I know we have several qualms with. And so long as it keeps making money, it's just not going to change because, I mean, profit motive is the only motive in the world, which is incredibly tragic, but it is what it is.
Damn, that was a wrong sentence.
Yeah. But no, I definitely think that is the biggest con that I can think of. And as far as pros, I mean, I would just think with that excess cash, with them making that kind of money off of SmackDown, which they've always for years said was the fucking B show, that I hope they could funnel it back in to the product in some ways. But even that's a pro where it's more tentative and conjecture rather than, oh yeah, they're definitely going to do this because they have precedent sort of thing. What about you, Ashton? You always look at things from different angles than I do. Are you thinking of any pros or cons that I haven't thought of?
Well, the biggest con to me is the con man being Vince McMahon, who is now richer than he's ever been in his life and hasn't earned it in about 20 years at this point.
Yeah, well, there you go.
Another con is that while this does make Vince McMahon richer than he's ever been before, most, if not all of the workers won't see a penny of it.
Oh, God, yeah, fuck that.
Another con is that it's Friday nights and most people aren't at home on Friday nights. Most of WWE's target audience are out at bars or partying on Friday nights. So that's a con. Another pro is that we can officially say that AJ Styles got the WWE $1 billion.
Yeah. Yeah, Jesus, with a B.
The main event program for the last 3 months has been Styles Nakamura. So yes, hello.
Yeah, absolutely, man.
That's about all I got, though.
All right, well, I guess we can move on to our next question.
4 questions coming up here from Dominique Adams, and these, I haven't seen the rest of them, but the one intended just for me, which is our first question, is fucking evil. Would you break up the pairing of Andrade and Zelina if it meant Adam Cole became WWE champion on that day? And here is why I'm going to say no to this.
Oh, this should be good.
I fully buy in to the reports that Vince McMahon fucking loves Adam Cole and sees him as the next Shawn Michaels. So I'm going to keep Andrade and Zelina together because I think Adam Cole is going to win the WWE championship at some point regardless. So why would I rush it at the cost of Andrade and Zelina as a couple when it's inevitable?
Yeah, Dominique Adams, it was an evil question, but he gave you the out by saying Adam Cole would win the WWE championship on the same day. Not that if you don't break them up, Adam Cole will never be WWE champion.
Yeah. So, see, but then I would have had the out of, that's okay, he'll just be a 10-time Universal champion.
God, you really believe in Adam Cole, don't you? That's fucking beautiful. That's
all right. Speaking of fucking beautiful, though, next question is for Johnny Goodfellow.
Yeah.
For the sake of world peace and harmony, would you sacrifice Kairi Sane to a pissed off Suzuki?
Oh, well, cheese and crackers, guys. I really don't know.
Some crackers.
That's quite difficult. Well, I would be very sad, and I would be definitely spending a lot of time, well, my nose would be spending a lot of time with my hanky from all the crying I'd be doing. But I like to think that because Kairi loves everybody so much, and she wants a free and open planet where everybody can just love and support each other, that she would volunteer herself for that sacrifice. And so, even though it would pain me and leave a giant hole in my heart, I think I could, knowing that we made a better world in the process that has her smile embedded in every flower. So I'm going to say yes.
Okay. Moving on. Next question for both of us. Which WWE legend should have had a WWE championship reign but never did?
I immediately go to Jake Roberts, especially because I heard a story where him and Hogan were supposed to do a program for the WWF title. And the first time he hit Hogan with a DDT, which I think was one of the talk shows that they had, I don't know if it was Piper's Pit or Beefcake's barbershop or whatever the fuck, but apparently Roberts got a huge pop. I think they were really wanting Roberts to be world champion, and they might have been tiring of Hogan at this point. And the program just got canned because it's well, no, we can't have Roberts be over. He's supposed to be the heel. So I really wish that Jake Roberts would have gotten a title run. A few years ago, I would have said Mr. Perfect, but honestly, he was a really great Intercontinental champion. I don't really know if he could have done much more for the world title that he's already done for the Intercontinental title. Why I say Jake is he was such an amazing character performer. Roddy Piper. I feel like Roddy Piper could have been one of those one-run guys where it's like really emotional, like, oh, we finally won it. So I think I'll say Piper and Roberts for my two big ones. What about you, Ashton?
Very nice. As far as I'm concerned, oh man, this is a little bit tougher for me. And I've been thinking about one name this entire time. And the more I think about who's held and who hasn't held world titles, I think it really is the biggest shame that Scott Hall never got to hold one.
Yeah, that's a great one, dude. I really like that.
Yeah, so I would say not Diesel, but his buddy Razor Ramon. Razor Ramon should have probably been WWE champion at one point, but obviously the whole situation with the Click and Vince and Ted Turner and Bischoff and shit happened, and he ended up jumping ship. So unfortunate situation, but you know, in an alternate universe, maybe Scott Hall won the world title in WWE at some point, and that would have been great.
Yeah, there you go. Next question.
Next question, fourth and final question from Dominique Adams. If there is ever a New Japan Lucha Underground crossover show, what would be some of your favorite matches to see? I feel like we get this question in some way, shape, or form every fucking month.
Yeah, I still say Johnny Mundo versus Okada.
Yep.
You know what? Let me think. What else here? Cage versus Ishii.
Cage versus Suzuki.
Yeah. Oh, dude. Yes. Matanza versus Makabe could be fun.
Give me Matanza versus Ishii.
Yeah. Oh, dude.
This is a craziness.
Fuck yes. Fuck yes. El Dragon Azteca Jr. versus Will Ospreay. Let's see.
Take Phoenix versus Ospreay.
Yeah, there you go. Pentagon Dark versus Tanahashi. You know, like, yeah, there's so many matches you could do. Fuck. Fucking Mil Muertes versus. God, I wish Fale was better than what he is. Because, like, I don't hate Fale, but he's not, like, the best big man that they have.
I want Mil versus Okada.
Mil versus Okada would be very interesting. Because, like, could the Rainmaker even affect Mil Muertes?
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's just a match I want to see.
Kenny Omega versus Mundo. Since we're not putting a card together, they're just saying, like, what matches would you like to see on something?
Right.
You know, Kenny Omega versus Mundo could be a shit ton of fun. Fucking, if New Japan would be open to intergender wrestling, I'd love to see Suzuki versus Ivelisse. Because, like, Suzuki's just this badass motherfucker, and Ivelisse, though, isn't going to back down even with her history of injuries. So, like, Suzuki would be the ultimate heel. And yet Ivelisse's fiery spirit would get her one hell of a pop. Fucking Phoenix versus Dragon Lee. You know, there are just like a lot of matches that you could do to me. I mean, Ashton, are there any more that you want to mention that I haven't?
Hiromu versus Moth Martinez.
Ooh, that would be fucking great.
The battle of the crazies, except one of them's really good at and the other one's mostly good, but sometimes over the top.
Yeah, I completely agree with that assessment.
Let's see. I think my favorite female performer in Lucha Underground is Taya.
Nice.
Taya versus Tanahashi.
Ooh, I like that.
Let's do Mundo versus Ishimori.
Okay.
In a battle of the abs. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Let's see. How about Drago versus Desperado?
Ooh, I like that. Yeah.
Pentagon Dark versus Naito.
Ooh, that's really good.
That is a good one. I think that's the best one. I'm not going to top that. Let's end it.
Yeah, next question.
All right, up next, we've got 3 questions from Golden Elite. First up, do you guys like Elias's new dressing style with the kimonos? And whose idea do you think it was for him to add those to his gear?
I love them, and knowing Elias, it probably was like his idea or something just to get extra heat because he's thinking, what would a douchebag musician do? He'd wear kimonos indoors. So, yeah, I bet
you know what? First of all, I do love it, but I'm going to actually say it was Corey Graves' idea.
Oh, nice.
because they're
right.
BFFs behind the scenes, and you just know Graves is constantly trying to come up with ways to get people to hate Elias even more. And he was like, "Wear a kimono."
Well, that's fucking beautiful to me.
Graves was probably watching Silicon Valley, and he saw Bachman with the kimonos, and he was like, "What a douchebag! I hate him. I'm gonna have somebody in WWE do this. Why not my best friend?"
There you go.
That's my guess. Second question from Golden Elite: had he not retired, where do you think Corey Graves' career would have gone? The man had literally everything. Kind of funny that I just brought up Corey Graves, and now our next question from Golden Elite is about Corey Graves. Where would he have gone? Probably like Intercontinental Champion at most. He wasn't a big guy, so I don't really think he had a huge ceiling in WWE.
I would say multi-time Intercontinental Champion, which with maybe the possibility of one WWE title run on SmackDown.
I mean, the ironic thing is Graves basically would have ended up in the exact spot that Elias is in.
Yeah, I actually agree with that. I think that's a perfect articulation of it.
All right, so the third and final question from Golden Elite: where do you see Donovan Dijak and Gunner going in the WWE when they remember to fucking debut them already? Well, thankfully we did just get Chris Dijak debut. As far as where they're going, I personally really want to see Dijak and Brennan Williams in their tag team, because they've been working in house shows down in Florida as a tag team. I think they're called like the Power Towers of Power, or the Twin Towers, or something like that. And that would be amazing. So I just want them to be a tag team and go against like War Raiders and shit, and that would be fun. I love the idea of Gunner's tag team. Him and or not, it's not a tag team, it's like a whole stable. It's like him and Marcel Bartel and Buddy Murphy and all them. So that would be cool too, but it would require Buddy Murphy to come back to NXT, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I see Dijak going pretty far, actually. Dude is so entertaining. I've seen very little of Gunner, so I can't comment at this time. I mean, who even knows? But Dijak, I don't know. In this current climate, maybe he could be an NXT champion. Maybe if he finds a running bunny, they could even win the tag titles, because I know, Dusty Classic can make some odd pairings. Maybe Dijak would find himself in the thick of that stuff. You know what, though? I keep forgetting, which I shouldn't, because it's held by Adam Cole Bebe. Dijak could even be a future North American champion. That's what I'll say. And I'll even go with Gunner on that, too. I see them both being North American champion. But I do see Dijak going further than Gunner, and I could see him also being an NXT champion. So that's what I'll say about that.
As far as like actual ceilings go, I think Dijak has NXT champion written all over him in like a year and a half. Whereas with Gunner, I think he is more the North American champion type. I also think they both have tag titles in their future, so that'd be
very interesting. Yeah, we'll see, man. We'll see.
All right, man. Well, that's it from Golden Elite. Let's move on. We've got 3 questions from Javaris Carter. All 3 start with the words, why does WWE? So we're going to have a good few questions here asking what the fuck WWE is doing with their lives. First up, why does WWE continuously insult their hardcore fans by calling them Bizarro fans just because we booed their guys?
Because Vince is extremely sensitive and he can't take his ego taking a single punch. So he uses his mouthpieces to pretty much communicate that our opinions don't matter.
Yeah, I mean, really, it's definitely a Vince thing, but I just think it's Vince wanting to cushion any new viewers to the audience, because the new viewers might be like, oh, wow, this Roman Reigns dude is a badass. Why are they booing him? And then commentary gives them the answer that Vince wants them to hear.
Right.
So that's a pretty quick answer for that. And by the way, as far as the whole Bizarro fans thing, I love that they say that, even though the only like inverse reactions that we get in those situations are with specifically Roman Reigns getting booed and then hometown heels getting cheered. Everyone else gets reacted to the way they should. Seth Rollins as a face gets cheered. Elias as a heel gets booed sometimes. Bobby Roode as a face gets cheered. Jinder Mahal as a heel gets booed. Like, people react correctly, or quote unquote correctly, the way that they're expected to react to 90% of the roster. And WWE's just like, oh, but that 10% is just unacceptable, damn it.
Yeah. God, he's so old. I can't wait for him to die. Anyway.
Second question from Javaris Carter. Why does WWE insist on punishing wrestlers for getting over on their own? Are they that petty and self-absorbed? Easy answer, yes.
I'm going to elaborate a bit on it, mainly because I love hearing myself talk. I do agree with that. I think also it might be like a trauma thing, because we always talk about how Vince was shaken up when like Rock, Austin, and Brock left. I feel like, here's what I honestly believe on some level, even if it's complete bullshit. I feel like when WWE sees people get over on their own, WWE fears that that talent in turn is going to internalize that as, wow, I actually can be better, maybe not necessarily bigger, but like I can succeed. I can be better off without WWE if this doesn't work out. And I think WWE hates their superstars having the self-awareness that there are other options, because they feel like the lack of self-awareness equates to loyalty, which I think is very toxic. But I think, you know, that's why they punish them for getting over on their own, because they don't want to establish a precedent where if these people know how to use their resources and cultivate a personality that we didn't have a hand in, then we can't take credit for it. They won't develop a dependency on us. And then they feel like if we invest too much in them, they can go and do something else and succeed in spite of us. So that's really what I think it's about. And I think, again, it all goes back to, you know, Rock leaving, Brock leaving because he got sick of shit, Austin being forced to leave, you know, because his body and shit like that. And I think this is just another means by which they keep talent under their thumb. That's my theory. So,
yeah, I think I think that you definitely nailed it as far as Vince's own insecurity. And that's really, it really does come down to just Vince having a plan and not wanting to stray from that plan. So if his plan is Cesaro is going to be a mid-card heel, he doesn't want Cesaro to pick up momentum as a babyface. So he's just, rather than being willing to give fans what they want and adapt with the times, Vince just doubles down. So I said Cesaro already. Let's just use him as an example. When he had the amazing Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal win and was probably the most over babyface male in the company, the following night, Vince gave him Paul Heyman, which people popped for, but then had Heyman insult the crowd and double down on, you know, the whole Brock beating Taker thing, breaking the streak. And they doubled down on Cesaro being a heel. They made him stop doing the swing. They went out of their way to make sure that he was not getting cheered because it didn't fit Vince's plan. I think it's less about, Vince is insecure and doesn't want people leaving him, and more about Vince being stuck in his ways and incapable of adapting.
Yeah, for sure, dude.
So that's my opinion. Third and final question from Javaris, and this is my favorite. I'm going to let you go first because I probably have more to say about this. Why does WWE treat Dave Bautista like shit?
Because they don't know what to do with this beautiful fucking man that wants to work full time, which includes house shows. And he's like, what, 50, 51? Like, that fucking loyalty, and all he asks in return is, I want to do a retirement program with Triple H, because, you know, Triple H is where I really got my mega push, and I want to bring things full circle. And they're like, nah, Dave, we're not interested. You're looking at one of the biggest Hollywood stars, because the superhero genre is dominating Hollywood. Batista's part of that genre, therefore, like, he's in that conversation, right? He's one of the biggest stars right now. And they're just like, nah, Dave, pass. And, like, why, though? Because not only is he this big Hollywood guy, but he wants to be with you guys full time. That's better than The Rock. That's like, oh, I'll do these few appearances and then maybe a pay-per-view. And sure as fuck better than Brock Lesnar. And yet he's the one that gets the pass, who is also genuinely an amazing fucking heel. And even though he should never be faced for his final run, if he gets it, because they're a bunch of ungrateful pricks, I guarantee you he'd probably be one of those guys that would get, like, thank you Batista chance or something on his way out. Because he's fucking brilliant when he's given the right material and people to work with. I don't understand why they don't take advantage of it. I feel bad for Dave because he seems genuinely interested in wanting to work with them and commit to it. I believe that this is a guy that loves wrestling and remembers where he came from, and I respect the fuck out of that. I just wish WWE felt the same, and fuck them for not feeling the same, honestly. So that's all I've got to say about that. What about you, Ashton? Because you said this is your favorite. So what do you got to say about this?
So I want everyone in chat, and John, if you want to get in on this too, you can. Go to Google and type into Google top 2018 Hollywood box office draws.
Okay.
I want you to click on the website that comes up. That's the-numbers.com. And it's the highest grossing stars of 2018 at the domestic box office. And here's the complete list. So number one, Dwayne Johnson, Vince's biggest nightmare because he's not coming back. Numbers 2 through 12 are Chris Hemsworth, Chris Pratt, Chadwick Boseman, Robert Downey Jr., Karen Gillan, Paul Bettany, Chris Pine, Gal Gadot, Zoe Saldana, Woody Harrelson, Ryan Reynolds. Now, out of that list, the only people that are not Marvel Cinematic Universe regulars are Chris Pine, Gal Gadot, and Woody Harrelson. Everyone else is an MCU regular. And who's at number 13, John?
Let's Dave Bautista.
Fucking boom. And who's below Dave Bautista? Idris Elba, Ben Affleck, Scarlett Johansson, Kevin Hart, Mark Ruffalo, Jennifer Lawrence, TJ Miller, Taraji P. Henson, Zac Efron, Vin Diesel, Elizabeth Olsen, Mark Wahlberg. It's literally a who's who of the biggest stars in Hollywood. Dave Bautista's smack dab in the middle, right in the middle, literally number 13, which is the literal center point of the top 25 biggest stars in Hollywood right now. And guess what, guys? It's not even that he's overly dependent on the MCU, because he was in 2049, Blade Runner 2049 too. That movie was a huge success. Dave Bautista is legitimately one of the biggest stars in Hollywood right now, and WWE is telling him no to coming back full time. Like John said, working house shows, working television every week, working pay-per-views full time. And why? There's no reason. We haven't gotten a reason. He doesn't even have a reason, because they won't return his calls.
Oh, they're doing him so dirty, man. Like, God damn it.
How? This company is financially better off now than they've ever been. And yet imagine how much better they would be if they didn't make such shitty decisions.
Dude, I know. It hurts to think about if you linger on it too long, honestly.
It's unbelievable.
Jackie, damn, didn't you want some pepper for that salt? Oh, God.
Okay. Now, let's move on to our next set of questions. 4 questions from Iconic Player 1. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Create the ultimate heel stable using one wrestler from as many promotions as you want. You have to come up with a stable name, a stable gimmick, and a stable hierarchy.
Okay. Suzuki from New Japan. This is a fucking sadist.
Basically, you're going to create Suzuki Gun 2.0.
Possibly. I wouldn't even have Suzuki.
In addition.
Yeah, possibly, yeah. In WWE, I'm torn because I would either want to go with the Suzuki Gun theme in a way and maybe have Joe in there. But Joe is just so magnetic on the mic that you can't help but respect like his fire and intensity. I'm torn between Joe and Miz, honestly. I think I'll go with Joe. Then from Lucha Underground, I would take, you know what? I would take Marty the Moth. And I'm guessing it said one from each promotion, right? So New Japan Suzuki, WWE Joe, Lucha Underground Marty. What other promotions could I take from?
So you're literally creating the hashtag Scum Squad right now.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess ROH, I would take Cody because I'm guessing he gets heel heat from people, even if just get the fuck off my TV heat.
Well, your faction just lost all credibility. I don't care.
NXT is part of WWE, so I can't take anything from there. Otherwise, I would take.
No, I was even going to break it up into Raw, SmackDown, and NXT rather than just taking one person from WWE.
Oh, well, I mean, if we're playing by those rules, then SmackDown, Samoa Joe, Raw, Jinder Mahal, because gets that heel hit. Maybe I should take Roman, honestly. ROH again, I already said Cody, mainly because I don't watch like the product that much, and I'm assuming that he gets a lot of fucking heat. NXT, NXT, honestly, I probably would go with like Lars Sullivan even before I go, because Adam Cole's so beloved.
So you're just making a big old conglomerate of big, scary like heels that get people to hate them.
Yeah, we'll call ourselves Monsters Under the Bed. And I wish that made out to like an acronym that you could actually pronounce, but we'll make it work. We'll do something. Mudba attack. So yeah, Lars or NXT. Am I forgetting any promotions that we watch with any regularity? Because I can't even say Progress because we haven't even caught up to present day Progress. Otherwise, Jimmy Havoc would be in there.
Well, you can still say Jimmy Havoc.
I don't know what he's doing currently, but yeah, this Jimmy Havoc absolutely in this faction. And yeah, I'm just gonna stop there and I'm gonna hand the reins over to you.
Okay, so you kind of went for like the all-star lineup cast. I'm gonna go for more of like a structured actual faction with the hierarchy because he did say hierarchy.
Okay.
So I am going to have as like almost like as a power couple at the top. I am going to, assuming we're gonna go under the assumption that she is signed by NXT officially. I'm taking Io Shirai from NXT.
Nice.
And I am going to pair her with, I'm trying to think of a good person to pair her with. Just give me 1 second. While I'm doing this, I'm going to be thinking about other promotions too, because there's a lot going on. Because the beautiful thing about Io Shirai is that she actually speaks decent English. So, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to just pair the best female wrestler in the world up with somebody that most people consider to be the best Japanese male wrestler in the world, Okada. So we're going to get Okada and Io Shirai as our power couple, our main eventers. Undercard, not undercard, but like we'll go with a tag team. We're going to make a tag team. And for the tag team, we already have someone from NXT. We already have someone from New Japan. So for our tag team, I am going to take assuming we're counting everyone as healthy, Dean Ambrose from Raw and Marty the Moth from Lucha Underground, and they're going to be my tag team, and they're going to be like some kind of crazy, loopy, unhinged duo. And then because really, I kind of think of it almost as like a riot squad where you have the leader, that's Ruby, or in this case, it would be Okada. And then you have like the wacky sidekick, and that would be like the tag team of Ambrose and Marty. And then you got to have like a really good in-ring guy to be Intercontinental Champion level, and I'll take Andrade from SmackDown for that.
Nice.
I'm basically creating a League of Nations, except it's actually good.
Yeah, there you go.
It's not awful. And just because we kind of need our Bushi, somebody that kind of takes pinfalls in tag matches and stuff, but still can put on entertaining matches. I'm going over to Progress, and I'm going to take Travis Cooper, I think his name is.
Travis Cooper. That sounds right.
It may not be his name. It's something Cooper. God damn it. Is it? No, Travis Banks is Aussie. Is he Aussie or Kiwi?
He's Kiwi.
So, yeah, he's the dickhead. He's the Kiwi. He's the dickhead. I don't want him. I want the high flying guy. Who's Dahlia Black? God damn it. I would take both of them if I could, but son of a bitch. I'm trying to remember who is with Dahlia Black. I'm sure someone in chat's already. TK Cooper. Thank you, Racist Fan Rocks. TK Cooper. That's who I want from Progress, because TK Cooper is like a really entertaining high flyer and seller and all that fun stuff, but he's also like, he can, in this faction, he can be like the lower card guy that takes pins, because he's like a less shitty version of TJP in a way.
All right, well there you go. Sounds great to me, man.
Yeah, so that's my faction.
Next question.
Next question. Oh God. Next question. Well, this isn't the good one, but this is still a good one, but this isn't the one that I laughed at. Second question from Iconic Player 1. What video game world would you like to live in? That's a great question.
I've been watching like a lot of Banjo-Kazooie / Banjo-Tooie content. I think I'd love living in that world. Just collecting jiggies and fucking notes all day with the occasional Jinjo, which I don't really care about them and their abandonment issues. So yeah, I'll pick that world. That seems pretty fucking sweet to me. What about you?
I mean, I feel like there's nothing really special about that world, though. Like it's just a world that just happens to have.
Hold on, $2 super chat from Cliff Amal, Cole, Mundo, McIntyre, Andrade, and Tennille. So that would be Cliff Amal's faction. Thank you very much.
Damn, that's a hell of a faction. I'll take Tennille too. Take her from Ring of Honor, so we have another female in the group.
But yeah, that what world would you pick then?
Hang on a second. I would. You know what? I brought it up earlier. I'll bring it up again. I would want to live in the world of Golden Sun, man, where you have, you have synergy and you're able to use different skills and abilities using mental kind of power, and you have the little creatures. Like, yeah, man, I love Golden Sun. I would want to live in that world. That would be amazing.
All right, next question.
I would probably be like a Jupiter adept so that I could, whip up wind and create like plasma and sparks and shit. That would be amazing.
Nice.
Next question, and this is the one that I kind of chuckled at before the last one. What are your thoughts on population control?
Oh God. Well, if it's flat earthers, I'm totally for it.
No, it's just funny because we were literally talking about this last night. Because like, John, you already know just from the trailer that Thanos' goal is to eliminate half of the universe's population. We watched Kingsman a while ago, and that movie has a population control plot in it where Samuel L. Jackson's character wants to kill off a huge chunk of the Earth's population and literally just leave the richest chunk to kind of hoard all the resources to themselves. And I was talking to John last night about it, and I was like, you know what? If we had to have some kind of population control where a massive chunk of the population was killed off, I would just do it by age. Just pick like the oldest 30 to 40% of the population and eliminate them. That way, you're specifically picking people that are already close to death, and everyone else is fine. Like, you're not discriminating based on wealth. You're not discriminating based on race or gender or anything like that. You're just chopping the top oldest people off of the population. And it's like, whatever, man.
Yeah, I could just picture somebody being like, "Oh, I'm so happy to be the oldest living person." Not for long.
Well, no, you're so happy to be the oldest living person after this has happened, but you're like 60 years old at most.
Yeah. Obviously I'm against population control, like not being Johnny Scumbag. I feel like we're seeing more commentaries like in favor of it because I don't know why, but people are more open to that than fundamentally altering our system of resource allocation, which I think is like the bigger issue here. But obviously the Johnny Scumbag in me and like is like, yeah, like fuck the old people. I even said we were having that conversation, you could just look at somebody and be like, I'm pretty sure you've lived long enough. And you can really just start.
No, but I mean, even if we want to talk about more realistic, like not full blown like evil plan to eliminate a massive chunk of the population kind of thing. What about like, population control as far as like what China is doing, where they say like you're not allowed to have more than X amount of children? I think that's actually relatively reasonable. Or if somebody does have more than a certain amount of child, whatever the number is that you allocate, they have to put them up for adoption for another couple to be able to raise.
I mean, again, we get into these questions that I don't even really like answering in a Q&A format because I feel like these would be like commentaries on their own with like really substantive discussion. But I even remember reading that China like put themselves in a corner with that policy because it wasn't like, how can I put this? Because God, it's so weird even putting it this way when we're talking about something like fucking population control, which as a disabled person, like I have somewhat of a historical relationship to. It wasn't like this cold detached thing. You know what I mean? Like it was informed by sexism, like more girls got killed than boys. Right. But then China had the problem of, oh, wait, nobody's like getting married because there are no fucking women and like there are no family units. So that created a whole new problem for China. So I don't know, man. I mean, it's funny that you mentioned like the whole children thing, because I've said to people, one of my favorite young adult series as a kid dealt with population control. It was called the Shadow Children series by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I recommend if anybody still at their age is into young adult fiction, I definitely recommend those books to you guys. And yeah, it was like every third born and afterwards was an illegal or called a shadow child, and they would be like forcibly taken away by these, population police. I don't know. Any talks about that, when we're being sincere, do make me uncomfortable. Again, I do think resource allocation is the answer, but if you were to do population control and you had to be pragmatic about it, I would say
very Orwellian.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what really makes me uncomfortable about it. But if you had to do it, if you put the gun in my hand and you're like, look, either you pull the trigger or we're all fucked, I'd have to say, like, yeah, the hierarchy of like age. And I especially hate to say this because I am disabled, but you'd also have to figure, I guess, maybe wellness, like terminally ill and stuff like that. I don't know. It's a mind fuck, man. I'll tell you that right now. But that's all I can really say about that question. Unless you have anything more to add, we can move on.
All right, let's move on. Up next, our fourth and final question from Iconic Player 1. Would you rather be a Viking or a pirate?
Pirate, because then I get to be on Kyrie Saint's pirate cruise. So pirate for me.
But it's like real life Viking or pirate, not
But
like...
see, like, I can just convince her, look, leave this wrestling stuff behind and become a real pirate, and we can be good pirates, you know, and like spread friendship and peace and all that shit. And it's funny that the Viking's an answer because I actually wear a Viking helmet on my Rocket League car. So like, I guess
you do. I'm actually going to go with Viking. I mean, if you have the option of being a good pirate, I'll opt to be a good Viking, because the difference between Viking and a pirate to me is that Vikings spend most of their lives on land and only go on boats when they're attempting to raid, whereas pirates spend most of their lives on boats, and I'm not a big fan of being on a boat.
So you're not with Lonely Island. I'm on a boat, bitch. I'm on a motherfucking boat.
I mean, I would still spend time on a boat. I would still like have to get into a boat to cross the sea to do my raids and shit, but
yeah.
I just wouldn't want to spend my entire life on one like a pirate would.
Yeah, I'm sure even then when they're singing the song like I'm missing land when we get back to land. But no, that's
not the song they're singing. They're singing the "You Are a Pirate" song.
Next.
First question out of 4 from Thomas Buckner on Twitter. If you could live in any anime universe but have no superpowers, what would it be?
Oh, definitely. No, you know what? Definitely Death Note. Yeah.
But you have no superpowers.
Yeah, but like the Notebook really isn't a superpower, though, right? It's like
That's
a superpower
That's
object.
true.
So, like, yeah, it doesn't really lie with me. It's an external object.
I mean, this is easy for me. I'm picking Pokemon because I don't need superpowers when I can catch things that have them.
Oh, God, I really want them to turn on the humans and kill them all. That'd be a Pokemon series I could get behind. But yeah, Death Note for me.
Pokemon Uprising.
Yeah, dude, yes, now for the Nintendo Switch. So
no, it's an anime. I thought, what the hell?
Well, we obviously have to do a game adaptation. Don't be such a fucking mark, Ash. To make the money when you can. Duh.
There's already video games that you play as the Pokemon, though.
Well, you don't get to kill humans, though. Rated M for mature.
I was going to say, just play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Come on, man.
Well, you tell me what to do. But no.
Suggestion, relax.
Death Note's my anime. Pokemon's yours. Next question.
Second question from Thomas Buckner. Who should have the NXT title but will not get it?
Velveteen Dream, most likely.
Yeah, I was actually going to say Ricochet, so we actually are on two sides of the same coin here.
There you go. Next question.
Next question. If you could go back in time and convince someone to not sign with WWE, who would it be?
Hideo Itami.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a really good one. You know, I am actually going to take more of a humanitarian approach here and say CM Punk because he wouldn't have never lost his passion for the business.
Yeah, that's a great one, dude. I love that. All right, I think we both picked excellent ones there. Let's move on to our next question.
Third question from Thomas Buckner. If you could go back and that was the third question. So fourth question from Thomas Buckner. Who would you convince to sign with WWE earlier? AJ Styles.
Honestly, that was going to be my answer. I don't think there's a better answer than that. So I'm just going to co-sign with you, AJ, because even Vince regrets it. And anything that Vince is able to actively regret, which I bet you he regrets AJ more than having on-screen relationships with women significantly younger than him while he was married. Like, so yeah, Vince regretting anything I think is huge. AJ to me is the only right answer. So yeah, AJ Styles.
All right. So then we get to four questions. No, I'm sorry, not four. Two questions from Bullet Club versus The Shield. First off, I'm going to let you go first here. Discuss all that can go wrong with Ronda versus Nia, possible injuries, main eventing the show, fans turning on Ronda, etc.
Fans could definitely turn on Ronda if the match goes too long and Ronda gets exposed, because Nia isn't exactly a quality worker in my eyes.
In anyone's eyes, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Injuries, well, they're possible in every match, to be fair, even if you got two really skilled workers, because freak things do happen, but I definitely think it's on a higher end here, given the people involved. I want to kind of gouge my own eyes out personally, knowing that it's going to happen. Also because, you know, depending on how the women's Money in the Bank goes, I mean, this could really be a strong indicator of the course of the division for the remainder of the calendar year, which that's just fucking depressing. What else did she mention as things that could go wrong? Because I know Asia listed a lot. I know she said injuries, people turning on Ronda. What else?
Main eventing the show.
It's not main eventing the show, I don't think. The only...
Yeah, I wouldn't be that sure.
Is it, though? I genuinely don't know. This isn't me trying to be antagonistic to you or Asia. Like, I genuinely don't know if it would main event the show or not. But is it possible? Fuck yes, it's possible. Because one, it's Ronda, and two, WWE will jerk themselves off. Women main eventing another pay-per-view. We're so progressive. Tell us how progressive we are. Do it. So yeah, it could main event. And then depending on how the other matches go, I might be so fucking depressed that I become grateful all over again that I joined James on the Suicide Pact. God, if Ronda gets injured, that's not necessarily bad for us, but it's definitely bad for WWE. And like Nia will get chewed the fuck out. You want to talk about being in the doghouse.
You know, I never root for anyone to get injured, but Ronda getting injured might be a best case scenario for everyone involved, as long as it was like only a smaller thing. Like, oh, maybe she gets like a fracture or something gets dislocated that takes a few months to recover from, and she can come back better than ever and shit. Because that would achieve two things. First of all, it would get Ronda the fuck off television and let her actually learn the ropes for a little bit longer. And second of all, it would get WWE off of Nia's back, and it would allow them to get the title off of her and de-push her and possibly fire her, which wouldn't make anyone complain.
You know what? That's a great fucking answer. I really got nothing else to add. If there's anything you want to add that maybe I didn't, any perspectives that I didn't really examine, you can. Otherwise, I'm good to move on to Asia's second question.
Just the questions literally just discuss what can go wrong with it. So I think we pretty much touched on everything there. Second and final question from Bullet Club versus The Shield, though. John, discuss your recent fandom for the EST of NXT.
I smiled when I got this question because me and Asia have recently become a fortified unit that I like to call the Bully Buddies, torturing everyone else. But no, Bianca, she's great. You know, like I've been very cautious with my words in Asia. You know this because we've had very honest conversations about Bianca. I don't want to push her too fast. I want to give her the push that she deserves, and I want to be mindful of her growth rate. But I do think she could be absolutely a valuable asset to WWE. She is a valuable asset, I think, right now in the women's division. I'm enjoying her. I mean, ever since she deadlifted Candice, who's just a crying little bit, oh, my husband. Oh, I hope everything had shut up, Candice. You don't matter. Ever since she deadlifted Candice and just smashed her face on the turnbuckle, I'm like, oh, God, yes. Give me Bianca Belair versus Shayna when the time is right, please. Like I said on TWitWoW last night, I love that she's unapologetically talented. I love that she brims with confidence. I mean, those opinions were so resonant, other people echoed them. So, you know, I definitely think she's got a lot of the goods. I even like her personality. We haven't heard her on a live mic yet, because, you know, those promos like backstage and stuff, there's a bit of a more practiced air to them and stuff like that. Hopefully she would deliver on that front. Obviously, physically, especially now that she's got like this almost Burning Hammer-esque Samoan driver finisher. I love that because my only complaint before was her prior finisher. Great look. I love that she's not using the hair whip as much. It should only really be used for special occasions like, say, a takeover or something like that to get a pop from the crowd. And yeah, I think if they push her at the right speed, if they don't rush anything, I think she could be a real diamond for the women's division, and definitely somebody far more entertaining than I'm finding, you know, those like Charlotte, like those people that are pushed so heavily, fucking Nia. And yeah, Asia, like we talked about last night, you know, it really is that, you know, that black excellence, as we call it, especially in this climate, again, of police brutality and racism. I think that kind of representation, Bianca Belair having a stable family unit, being educated, you know, when all the stereotypes like that isn't the way that it is for Black communities. I think Bianca being like, yes, it is, sit the fuck down. I think that's really cool. And I think that's the kind of representation people need. And yeah, I just really can't wait to see her grow into more of a star. That's really all I can say about it.
All right, man. Well, I guess we can move on then. We've got 4 questions from Cliff Amal. First up, just for you, John. After listening to Bad Religion, what do you think of their music and their take on atheism as a whole?
You know, their music is all right. I was kind of meh on it, if I'm honest. But then again, maybe they'll just be one of those groups where, like, you know, I find the one good song or whatever and it clicks. But their message, actually, because I even did more research on it and I want to share some of this with you guys. their message is more interesting. Because when you said like atheist, I'm thinking, oh, like they're really like against religion and stuff like that. Not really, though. I actually appreciate what their position is a lot more, because they're not just like, oh, religion sucks and you all suck kind of thing. It's more, I'll read you this quote here from Greg Graffin here. Faith in your partner, your fellow men, your friends is very important, because without it, there's no mutual component to your relationship. And relationships are important. So faith plays an important role. But faith in people you don't know, faith in religious or political leaders, or even people on stages, people who are popular in the public eye, you shouldn't have faith in those people. You should listen to what they have to say and use it. I've even heard that like their message is less anti-religion and more anti-conformity. And in fact, some of their band members are. Like, I know one of them said that they're a deist, you know, and stuff like that. So it's not like that they're all atheistic. They actually come from very diverse spiritual backgrounds. But no, I do appreciate the political message of anti-conformity, you know, personal freedom, stuff like that. I know one said he was very inspired by George W. Bush because he, quote, fucking hates that guy. And I'm definitely picking up what he's laying down there. So yeah, I find their religious take. He even said, like, one of the lead guys said he wouldn't even describe himself as an atheist. He would describe himself more as a naturalist. And he made a distinction, which I found quite intriguing. So yeah, I think their music's it's decent. I've been going hardcore on all the stuff I already read to you guys on my Spotify. But as far as the social and political commentary and the overall message behind their music, that's definitely resonant with me, and I respect what they're doing. So thumbs up to those guys.
All right, second question is just for me. Thoughts on "This Is America" by Childish Gambino. First of all, I just fucking love Childish Gambino as an artist. I actually have a playlist of his. There's just his songs, and it's got like 3 full albums plus "This Is America" on it now. I love his music in general, but yeah, man, "This Is America." I think it's definitely a message, but I love that it's a message that's so easy to miss if you're not looking for it. Because if you're just watching the music video, you're just like, oh wow, this is crazy and all these cool dance moves. But if you actually look for the message, it's so clear what it is. And really the whole idea of just him being this distraction in the foreground while the real shit goes down in the back. And then at the very end of the movie, him trying to escape that, running away from everything. Like, I think it's great. But at the same time, I don't want people to think that this one music video is some kind of life-altering, world-changing kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, all that it's really meant to do is start the discussion, but where we take that discussion is what really matters. And until the discussion leads to something being done and action being taken, as much as I love "This Is America," it didn't really achieve anything.
You know what? That was a very thoughtful, even-handed response. And since that was your question, I won't even tag anything onto it. We can move on.
Third question from Cliff Amal. Seeing as how AOS got renewed for another season, what shows did you guys enjoy that got canned way too early? Oh, Alphas!
Alphas, definitely. I know my family introduced me to Firefly, which everybody says got canned too early, and I agree. I quite enjoyed that show. God, there was a show that I liked about this immortal detective called New Amsterdam, and did you know the lead in that is actually Jamie in Game of Thrones? Like, I blew my mind when I learned that recently. I'm like, holy fuck. So I enjoyed that show. I think that it was only around for like 6 episodes. What else has been canceled? The Adult Swim show, China, Illinois. I fucking love that show. There was a time I actually preferred that show to South Park. I fucking loved that show. So yeah, that'll be my final pick because that's probably one of the biggest ones for me personally. And yeah, Ashton, any more that you want to give outside of Alphas?
You know what? I guarantee you, if you would give me like a good 5 minutes to really think about this, I could come up with some really good answers and maybe do some like Googling and stuff, because really, like, this is just one of those questions that I definitely would have answers for, but just off the top of my head, Alphas is really the only one that stands out. Honestly, you could ask this exact question in reverse and I would probably have even more answers to it. What shows overstayed their run and should have gotten canceled or ended sooner than they did?
Yeah.
That would be an even better question. But anyway, yeah, it's all I've got for you is right now is Alphas. John had some good answers. Up next, fourth and final question from Cliff Amal. Are either of you interested in the All In show?
Not really. That's really all I can say about it. Not really. Like I've been keeping abreast of like the developments and stuff like that, but as far as watching it, I personally don't care to. And yeah, that's really all I've got to say about it. What about you, Ashton?
Honestly, am I interested in watching it? Not really. Am I happy for everyone involved that it sold as many tickets as it did that quickly? Of course. Am I mildly annoyed that Cody is going to be able to take any credit for this show whatsoever? Other than that, though, yeah, not really super interested in watching the show. I just hope that all the guys that work the show get paid properly and there aren't any shenanigans there and all that fun stuff. And I hope they put on a good show so that they can do it again because I think it would be cool if that was like even if it was only like a once a year kind of thing. I think that would be a really cool thing for the independent scene to have, you know?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love that. Next
All right,
question.
up next, we've got 4 questions from Ace the Skylord. First up, have you watched Black Panther yet? And if so, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, we did. I fucking loved it. I love the scale of it. I loved Wakanda. The characters were great. The villain was interesting. Definitely appreciated the villain. I still have to go and watch not watch, but read the commentaries from like some of my colleagues in philosophy that are black themselves and like, you know, examine black media and stuff like that because they were more critical of the film, honestly. But for me personally, I quite enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. What about you, Ashley?
I have a lot positive to say about the movie and a few nitpicks, but I wanted before I get into it, John, I wanted to ask you, do you have a favorite character from the movie?
No, I really liked everybody, man. I mean, Killmonger, you know, I'm always gonna be like pro minority, support every villain. So Killmonger was pretty fucking sweet.
I mean, if we're talking minority in that movie, freaking Claw was the minority.
yeah, that's true. That's true. What was the because I am a little hazy on the movie because we've just watched so much. What was the female genius's name that almost seemed like female Tony Stark? Because I know there was one of those characters in there, right? That was like,
oh yeah, that's actually the answer that I was going to give my favorite character as well. Shuri.
Yeah, she was fucking awesome.
She is definitely my favorite character in that movie.
Yeah, she was fucking great, man.
Yeah, that's Black Panther. That's T'Challa's little sister.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So she was awesome. But anyway, as far as my opinion on the movie, I did enjoy it quite a bit. As far as what I loved about it, I love, like John said, the world building and the city of Wakanda and the setting that they kind of set up. And by the end of the movie, I love the kind of let's leave them wanting more because I really do want more. I really want more Black Panther movies, but more like post Wakanda opening its doors and opening its walls to the rest of the world Black Panther movies. Because to me, that's my biggest negative about the movie is that the whole movie, I really was just getting frustrated because it was all just people angrily doing stuff rather than talking. And if they would have just sat down and had a conversation, they would have realized that they were all on the same side. Killmonger would have fucked off or maybe even joined like the royal cabinet or whatever the hell you want to call it because he is like the rightful heir to the throne or whatever. But like, the thing is, T'Challa he wanted to undo all of his father's bullshit about keeping Wakanda closed in and share their resources with the world. And that's why Killmonger was pissed, was that they weren't doing that. So sit down and have a conversation and don't try and kill each other, please.
Yeah. I think that was big.
That was like my biggest frustration with the movie, really.
That was the big critique I saw because I told you like there are commentaries I have to read like from my colleagues and stuff that work like in race theory and like stuff like that, is that like it was just these two black guys like so like Black Death still kind of takes center stage. I know I forget which one it was because I'd like to give him proper credit, but I know one of my friends said he would have preferred a movie where it was like Black Panther versus the Klan or some kind of like white supremacist threat, you know what I mean? Because that just seems more like resonant with what's going on right now. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. If they just would have had like a discourse, it would have been like, wait a minute, so we all actually believe in the same thing? Yeah. Oh, fuck me. Let's do it. Yeah. So
yeah, exactly. Yep.
I don't know, man.
That's where I'm coming from. All right, second question. Ace the Skylord, have you had the chance to see Infinity War yet? Yes!
I haven't. I'm alone.
He didn't have a follow-up question. He just asked if you had the chance to see it yet. And yes, I have, and he hasn't.
So, yeah, next question.
Third question from Ace. It's a horse that's been dead and buried for years, but what are your thoughts on Vince still not seeing the Roman problem even after Backlash?
I'm not surprised. I mean, I could make a very lazy old person joke and say you probably can't see it because of cataracts, but you know, it's whatever. Vince is gonna stay behind Roman because really, I remember reading a report a while back that before Vince really goes out and like loosens his grip on the reins, no pun intended there, that he wants one last, you know, great project. And it's funny because I feel like Strowman could have been Vince's like lasting mark on his legacy, but he's really committed on this Roman horse, which had its heart give out, and it's just kind of laying on the track while Seth Rollins and everybody else kind of passes him by. But yeah, I'm not surprised. I'm really numb to it at this point. I even said after the last time I thought Roman would turn heel that if he didn't, I wasn't going to play into it anymore, and I'm not. Roman's Roman. What you see right now is probably what you're going to get until the end of his career, and we just all got to get used to it. So that's my answer to that.
I'm hopeful, man. I know that it's really a lot easier to just be jaded and be like, oh, Vince is just stuck in his ways and shit. And really, I even kind of said that earlier about him, but I'm just hopeful because the little signs that we've been getting over the last few weeks that they're starting to kind of hand that torch over to Rollins have got my hopes up, man.
Actually, let me ask you something, because like I admire your optimism, but like if you get beaten down again, do you think you'll learn from this experience, or do you still think you'll find a oasis of hope for yourself?
Well, you know, it's in my nature to want to believe the best, so I'll probably end up blindly just being happy and excited about something in the future again anyway.
You poor precious unicorn. Next question.
Fourth and final question from Ace. Have you guys watched the other Yu-Gi-Oh shows like GX or 5Ds, or did you just stick to the original?
I watched GX, and I'm amazed that I walked away not getting cancer. Have not watched 5Ds or, you know, card games on motorcycles, or anything like that. But yeah, GX is the most that I watched, and Jesus fucking, you know what the funny thing is though about GX? And I apparently didn't get that far, but apparently like towards its tail end, it actually gets good because it takes on a bit of a darker tone, you know, relative to a kid's show. And there's actually some good stuff there, but sweet mother of God, the early episodes, it's like you're trying so hard to get your finger like deep enough into your ear so that you could seize the brainstem, pull it out, and then shank yourself in the heart enough times till you're dead. It's really bad. What about you, Ashton? Did you watch any more outside of the original?
I believe it or not, I have. I've watched the first few episodes of Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5, and it was actually pretty damn good, to the point that I even asked John if he wanted to watch it with me one day, and he said yes, and we just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Hey, it's Steins Gate all over again.
Yeah. But
so,
I don't know, as far as priority-wise, I don't know which one of those we'll get around to first, so we'll see.
Right, yeah.
It's probably going to depend on the mood. Like, we'll finally burn through all of this ridiculous Marvel content, and one night it'll just be like, hey, John, you want to watch Yu-Gi-Oh! Arc 5? And he'll be like, yeah, whatever, fine, let's do it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how those conversations go, honestly.
Yeah.
Next question, I guess.
All right, that was it from Ace. So the first and only question from Abel Herrera is for you, John. What are your thoughts on season 2 of 13 Reasons Why?
Oh, Ashton, since Abel asked me this question, I am going to take a liberty with it, okay?
Oh, please do.
I'm going to answer from two different perspectives.
Hang on a second. What, did you actually fucking watch it?
I did. So I can answer this question. I want to answer it from two different perspectives. I want to answer it as Johnny Scumbag, and then I want to answer it as me sincerely. Johnny Scumbag is kind of pissed because I was promised a school shooting and I never got it. That was Chekhov's school shooting. You know what you did, 13 Reasons Why, and I'm pissed. That said, there was a scene that happened in the show that was fucking hilarious, and I'm not going to go into it because it was a bit graphic, but me and James laughed our asses off about it. I'm definitely going to hell for it, and I apologize to no one. And I'm sure Brandon and other people that have watched the show, they probably know that the scene that I'm talking about. And Iconic may even know the scene that I'm talking about because I'm seeing him laugh right now. As far as answering as me, you know, like, I have a fucking problem with this show, and it's the same problem that I had with season 1, because obviously for a Netflix show and for like a young adult show, you're going to have the dramatic flair, right? You're going to have those dramatizations, this and that. I'm cool with that. I don't know, man, because at the same time, unlike, say, Riverdale, which I tried watching an episode of, and I couldn't get into it. I fucking hated everybody. Or like...
Dude, you watched Dawson's Creek. How can you not get into Riverdale?
Bruh, don't you fucking judge me right now. You pipe down. All right?
Dawson's Creek, people.
But no, like, they are tackling very serious subjects. And I will say, I think season 2 did better in certain areas than season 1 because they did address some of the problems that I had in season 1. Like, they did address, like, because Hannah killed herself with all these tapes, like, it might inspire other people, and that's not bad. Like, you shouldn't aestheticize suicide. Like, you shouldn't beautify it. I thought
not only weaponize, or not only, like, aestheticize, weaponize, or beautify, whatever, but really weaponized suicide. Like, if you don't do this, I'll kill myself kind of shit.
Yeah, like, that kind of thing. I thought season 2's handling of sexual violence was really well done on the women through one of their female characters, especially in this climate of Me Too and everything. I really appreciated their discussion of that, and I feel like they handled that with actually quite a bit of sensitivity. And then they made talking points that I was actually happy to see break through into the mainstream. But then there are things that they let go that I just like, it boggles my mind. Like Clay, who's still one of my favorite characters, I feel like the poor boy suffers the fucking most, and he shouldn't have to put up with people's bullshit. He very clearly has mental health issues, and he's teased suicide one time in both seasons, and they never talk about his mental health issues. And there's a big thing in here that for anybody that wants to watch the show, I won't give it away because for whatever reason I care about spoiling fucking 13 Reasons Why. But like, there's a big thing, a big narrative device here that really just makes you question, how is this man not getting help? Like, you know, how is he not going there? Some of their characters got elevated to be more likable and more depth, which never hurts. But the biggest rant, honestly, this season, because season 1, I feel like I ranted on Hannah and pretty much everything. Season 2, I only have one big rant, and this is the only spoiler that I am going to get into. So I'm going to do a quick 5-second countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. There we go. There is a rape that happens to a young man that's like bullied throughout the show, and the rape is graphic. James is kind of laughing about it in chat. I feel like the way they did it was kind of like hokey in parts, which is why I'm like, oh, come on, guys, what the fuck is this? But he plans to go to their dance and shoot up the school. All right, it's a topical thing. School shootings are happening very frequently. You know, I get it. Here's where I have a problem, though. He goes, right, and I almost feel like maybe, and I'm not even saying this as a scumbag, I almost wonder if it would have been better if he would have been able to carry it out, because that, I think, would have been more honest to the current climate. Instead of him carrying it out and succeeding, I guess because they wanted to end on somewhat of a light and suspenseful note, they have Clay, the protagonist that I mentioned a few moments ago. He goes out by himself, and he talks the kid off from shooting up the school. And, like, why I feel like that's so bad, I feel like people, because, again, they offer, like, mental health resources. They're like, oh, go to this website, you'll get your resources. So they know they're a part of a serious conversation. But then they do shit like this where it's like, listen, guys, school shooters, they're just overly bullied, which to me isn't really very much of a nuanced answer. I mean, is it a viable one? Sure, I guess, but there are other avenues that we should talk about, but whatever. But more than that, though, Clay goes out by himself. He talks to him. And that's like, oh, if you just reason with them. No, in any realistic setting, you're going to eat fucking lead. Because once they've committed to it, like, it's happening, right? Like, that's just how I see it. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe
God, imagine if while Clay was talking to him, you just heard...
Yeah, right? Like,
and then you pan over to Clay, and there's just a hole right between it.
Dude, yes. Yeah, like, again, I actually like Clay. He's one of the few people that I like. But to really suggest that him talking him down, and Mark knows what I'm talking about. Mark knows what I'm talking about. And, like, it's, oh, my God, it sends such a bad message. Because, realistically, Clay would have eaten lead. Like, the guy whose name is Tyler, by the way, the shooter, he would have just been listening to Clay, dead face, not registering anything. He would have just pulled the trigger suddenly, not even giving an indication he was going to do it. Clay would be lying, bleeding, and dead. Then he'd go into the school. But this idea, one, that you stop the shooter by yourself and you take the gun away from him, because that clearly works. And
that sends a great message.
Yeah, exactly. And then two, he calls over a ride, They don't have the cops take him away. Now, granted, as an anarcho-cop, yeah, fuck the police, all that stuff should be dismantled, but still, like, it's the system we have, and you're gonna have this guy taken away by a friend, which, who knows, maybe that was the better call. I don't fucking know, but it's like, it's not realistic. Like, no shooter is ever gonna get that out, ever. And he gets in the car with the friend, he drives off, so he's still alive, everybody's still alive, and Clay is left holding the gun. I feel like, one, the reason for his bullying, well, I guess it's understandable. I wish we could have had a broader discussion of, like, why this shit happens. And two, the solution, Clay, who really is kind of the martyr of the show, which can be kind of tedious sometimes, because it's like he's that lone Avenger type, and, you know, it's whatever. Sometimes I'm into it, sometimes I groan, because I'm like, really, you couldn't talk to an adult about this? And really, the only other positive I have, and I'm speaking purely with it as a dramatized show, not with it having serious conversations, I love some of the campiness of the villain, Bryce Walker. Now, granted, he's a rapist and a piece of shit, but, like, he does some, like, he has some line delivery that kills me. Because, like, there's one scene where Clay's walking in the hall, you know, he's all brewed and he's got his hood up, and Bryce, like, puts his arm around him, he's like, hey, buddy. Been a while since we talked, you know, I know I beat the shit out of you, and I'm sorry about that, like, in this exact tone. And he's like, you know, but I just wanted to let you know that we're not enemies, so you mind your business, and I'll take care of mine. And then Clay pulls a Brian, he's like, get your damn hands off me. And then Bryce just smiles, and he's like, watch your fucking tone. And I like just the delivery, it's like, he's just having the time of his life with it. And then there's another scene where Clay is going to blow his brains out because he can't stop seeing Hannah. That was the big mental health thing I was talking about earlier. And he puts a gun to his head. And then Bryce comes out. Because, you know, it's his fucking property. Because Clay originally wanted to go and shoot Bryce. Because it's like, oh, nobody's going to lock up this rapist. And Bryce just looks at the whole thing. And he's like, what the fuck? Just like that. Like, what the fuck? And it's just, I don't know. I personally like the villain purely from a television campy standpoint. But yeah, I mean, fuck this show. Fuck me for it becoming a guilty pleasure after Brandon more or less forced me via a Q&A question to watch the first season. Chekhov's school shooting. I mean, I'm going to hold that against you, 13 Reasons Why, but whatever. And yeah, it's funny because Hannah Baker obviously...
Now watch though. Season 3 is going to start with a school shooting having already happened in between seasons.
Yeah, dude, right? It's like they're going to already have the trial. Tyler would have done it anyway, despite being bailed out from it the first time. And Mark Shoneman says Tony is the only worthwhile character. You know what? I like Tony. And honestly, I know they tried to paint him as a guy having anger issues. But when you see the people he took his anger out on, I'm like, you know what, Tony? You do you. I think you're justified.
You said that the piece of shit bully character was Bryce, right?
Yeah. Oh, and there's another one. Oh, yeah, there's another one, too, that I think they're building up as a secondary villain. His name's Monty, and he's another jock. But he loves, and again, like, I'm just going to put a disclaimer here. I don't like using this word. I'm just going to say what the character said. He loves using the word, like, faggot as a homophobic slur. But he uses it in such a way that you know that he's gay. Like, I even joked with James, like, he's so deep in the closet, he found his way to fucking Narnia. Like, and it's like, this dude just cannot accept it. And, like, he got his lights punched out this season, which was so satisfying. But then, and again, this is the scene that I was talking about earlier that I didn't want to, like, mention explicitly because it's graphic. This same Monty character took Tyler, which pretty much pushed him over the edge, and he raped him by shoving a mop handle up his ass in the school bathroom, which James, right? Like, and that's another complaint I have too, because I get suspending your disbelief with television, and Abel's going to love this extended answer to this fucking question. But, like, James and me talked about this because he watched the scene. That handle was bloody as fuck, right? And how is the janitor going to go in the bathroom, pick that mop up and be like, huh, well, that's interesting, and then do nothing? Like, I know they paint Liberty High School as incompetent, but Jesus fucking Christ. And the school counselor gets fired, and all of the, you know, the principal and the coach, they're like, oh, I'm so tired of the athletes. And the principal's like, oh, Hannah Baker will never happen again. So they're made to be inept to progress the narrative. And I'm not saying that's not realistic in any schools, because maybe it is. I honestly wouldn't know. but it comes off to me like, oh my God, you're only doing this for plot convenience and like nothing else. It just smacks of laziness to me. So yeah, I think 13 Reasons Why has become a guilty pleasure. I wish Clay would have just let the school shooting happen, because now he's probably going to go to jail for something he didn't even fucking do. And honestly, I honestly was kind of rooting for Tyler. Me and James both, it's like he got raped with a fucking mop handle and nobody did a fucking thing. Like, yeah, no wonder he wants to get his justice. So I don't know. 13 Reasons Why season 2 better than season 1 on the whole, especially again with the discussion of rape and sexual assault. I feel like they handled that with the sensitivity it deserved. I still feel like though there are some conversations that they're not really going in the right direction about. Again, it's incredulous to me that they still haven't talked about Clay's mental health issues, but it's whatever. And Hannah Baker won't be part of the 3rd season. Oh, and fun fact, the actress that plays her has an Aussie accent. So yeah, actually impressive that she was able to cover that up as well as she did. And that's my thoughts.
Notice how much better non-Americans are at imitating the American accent than Americans are at imitating non-American accents?
Yes.
That's House. Are you kidding me? And like Benedict Cumberbatch, and now this Australian lady, and then like name one American that's been in a movie where they've done a genuinely good, convincing non-American accent. Because I can't.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. It's kind of mind-boggling how that works. But finally, we can move on to our next Q&A question.
Awesome. All right, next question. We've got 4 from Heel Zane. First up. And by the way, every single question for the rest of the Q&A now is for both of us. So we'll just leave that. First up from Heel Zane, what move one female and one male superstar from Raw and SmackDown back to NXT that the main roster doesn't deserve?
Doesn't deserve? Well, that's easy. NXT, Sasha Banks for the women. And for the men, honestly, I'd say Ty Dillinger. Because I feel like he has a lot more potential than the main roster has allowed him to show. So
okay,
I'll say
what about now do one male from Raw and a female from SmackDown?
Oh, one male from Raw and one female from SmackDown.
Well, no, it's one male and one female from Raw and SmackDown.
Okay, so I got the Raw female and the SmackDown male. Now I need the Raw male and the SmackDown female. Right. SmackDown female, I'd say Becky Lynch, honestly. Like, she's starting to bounce back, and I hope Cliff doesn't hate me, but I feel like she was appreciated more in NXT. And as far as male Raw talent, God, it sounds like it would have to be a singles entity and not a tag team. Honestly, for male
Raw, you could do a tag team if you wanted.
I was going to say Revival, but you know what? For male Raw talent, I'll say Kevin Owens, because I feel like part of the reason why I'm kind of over Kevin Owens at this point, I loved NXT Kevin Owens, dude. He had a murderous streak to him. Like, he would fuck anybody up that got in the way of him being NXT champion. And
you know what, though? I actually kind of want to say, I feel like the reason Owens was so good in NXT wasn't even necessarily because of anything he did. I think it was more because of the way he was written.
Well, yeah, well then, I mean, even so, like, I would prefer the way he was written in NXT than the way he's being written now. So I will say Kevin Owens for that. What about you?
See, and the reason that I wouldn't say any of the people that you listed, because really aside from Ty, is because I feel like they all kind of did everything that they could do in NXT. So I don't really feel like sending them back down to NXT would really achieve anything,
Right, I could see what you're saying there.
So for Raw, as far as the women go, and I know you said, oh, the main roster doesn't deserve them, but that's not really my reasoning behind sending these people down. It's more because I feel like they would be better off, and the main roster and NXT products would also both be better off having these people go from the main roster to NXT. So for Raw, I'm sending, let me think. I think, I had an idea in my brain and then I thought maybe I shouldn't, but I think I'm just going to stick with it anyway. Dana Brooke down to NXT, get her off television and let her spend more time at the Performance Center learning how to wrestle.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
And then as far as another, you know what? I think this is perfect because he does count as a Raw superstar because 205 Live cruiserweights do count as Raw superstars. Send Buddy Murphy down to NXT with his current gimmick as a singles star.
Oh, yeah, I like that idea. That's a great one.
And then for SmackDown, as far as the women go, Becky is probably the closest that I'll come to agreeing with you because she never won the NXT Women's title. But she has already won the SmackDown Women's title, so that would feel like a downgrade. So as far as the SmackDown women go, I think I'm going to send. Let's send Sonya Deville down to NXT because I feel like Mandy Rose is a lost cause. Or no, you know what? I take that back. I'm going to send Lana down to NXT. I'm going to send Lana and you know what? I'm going to send Lana and Rusev as a pair back down to NXT because Rusev has never held a world title. Lana's never held a women's title. And I think that I think Rusev could really go hard after the NXT championship and North American championship. That would be fun too. And do like the whole Bulgarian as the North American champion thing. And Lana, I think she's got so much upside that putting her in NXT and letting her get better at wrestling and then bringing her up after like a couple of years in NXT as like a more complete performer would be a really good beneficial thing both for her and the company because I think she has that much upside that if she learns to wrestle, I think that she could be like that next Trish Stratus type character.
Yeah, I definitely appreciate where you're coming from with that. I think
plus, then when you bring her back up to the main roster from NXT, you can have her drop the accent and say, "Oh yeah, I learned how to speak without the Russian accent.
I got Americanized while down in NXT."
Yeah, well, the thing is, she's already kind of doing it. Like she's already kind of like halfway dropping the Russian accent to the point that there are actually people that don't realize that it's halfway and think that she's just fully dropped it completely. Like I know Cliff has already said something like, "Oh, she dropped the Russian accent. She's speaking with an American accent, even though she's rolling her fucking R's." But yeah, I think that over the course of like a year or two, having her in NXT and then bringing her back up with the normal, natural American CJ Perry accent would do a lot for her career, and her career taking off, I think would be good for the WWE because she does have that mass appeal.
Yeah, I definitely see where you're coming from, man. Great stuff.
All right, second question from Heel Zane. Do you like sci-fi shows? Did you watch The 100 on CW? And if not, I highly recommend it to you because it's awesome and keeps getting better and better.
Me and my family watched the first few episodes, and it was all right, but I've actually heard the same thing that Heel Zane's articulated. Like, I've heard several people be like, yeah, this show got really good, to the point where I may even recommend to my family that we try getting back into it or give it another shot. I don't know, but sci-fi shows can be good. It really depends on how much sci-fi is like in them. Like one show that I love that unfortunately I kind of dropped off with, as I did with so many other shows because life just happened, was Orphan Black. Love Orphan Black because the sci-fi was very minimal. It dealt with cloning, which is also sci-fi that I like. I know you and I, Ashton, have watched like sci-fi movies where like the science fiction element was like time travel. So that's always fun, I feel like. So yeah, I don't really have a problem with it. It's just like, what type of sci-fi are we dealing with and how much of it informs the story? Like, is it way over the top to the point where a whole society is informed by it? Or is it just like these characters happening upon this sci-fi object or something, again, like time travel or something like that? So yeah, that's my answer to that. What about you?
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not really a big fan in general of CW shows. They just kind of seem to have a lot in common as far as like the hokiness and the over the top, over dramatic of them. But I've heard of the 100. I don't even know what the premise is though, John. What's the premise of the 100?
If I remember correctly, it's all these people living on this space station because the Earth is allegedly like inhabitable. So they take 100 people, I think mostly like young children and very like youthful people, down to Earth to see if it's like habitable. And then of course they'll send word like, oh, it's good. And, come down here and we can rebuild civilization. But then I think something happens where it's like, you know what? Fuck that. We're free from them. We don't have to listen to anybody. We can form like our own government. We can do our own thing. And then, of course, factionalism quickly happens with some people being like, no, I want my parents contacted. Everybody should be here. We were on a mission. And then other people being like, no, fuck it. We can make our own opportunities. I think that's the gist of it. People that love the 100 probably articulate it far better than I could because, again, I only watched a few episodes. But that's what I remember the gist of it being. So
that actually sounds right up my alley. I would probably watch that too.
You should check it out, man. You should check it out on your own time. And maybe we should even watch it together if you would be interested. Because I don't know if my family would go for it, but if you would genuinely be into it, maybe we could just add that to our list.
Our long list.
Our long list. But hell, at the very worst, it could be like a putter show. Like, oh, let's just put this on and maybe just do other stuff while we're like paying attention out of the corner of our eyes to this shit. So yeah, we'll see.
Man, well, next question from Heel Zane. If you are both a WWE superstar, what ring name would you choose for each other, not yourselves? So I have to choose a ring name for you, and you have to choose one for me.
The Mark Mutilator? No. Let me think. I can't really think. Hold on. Let me put something together.
Are you gonna do like an anagram or something?
Possibly. I don't know yet. Well, I should have just gone with Mark Mutilator. You put that on a t-shirt, like, yeah. You all paid because you think this is real and you came to see me, you dumb fucks. I can tell you.
Feel like I just want to go with Johnny Scumbag for you, but that's almost like too on the nose. Maybe you could be Johnny and then have a last name with Scumbag being like in quotes, like that's your nickname. Johnny Scumbag Robinson.
Ooh, yeah, there you go.
That's my name for you, Johnny Robinson, the Scumbag.
Let me.
Now the pressure's all on you, John.
I hate this so much. I hate talking questions like this because I have no imagination whatsoever. But I'm thinking, like, what I know about you.
You have to have an imagination. You're a philosopher.
Hey, look, imagination's only part of the job, okay?
I know, but it is, in fact, a part of the job. It's not, you know.
And also, for the record, I never said I was good at my job.
But you so clearly are.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, it's funny because, like, with what I know about you, like, I know you're a fan of, like, that shoot style, so that's how I would want you to kind of work. And I know you're a more, like, you're very, like, logical to the point where it's like you even say, like, it can even be, like, a bit much at times. Like, people just say that and you're like, oh, well, you know, how did you get there? So, like, you're obviously going to be a thinking man's wrestler, very cerebral. You know, more of an architect than Seth Rollins to me. But how do we tie that in to a ring name? Let me see something here. Fuck. What's your favorite animal again? The cassowary, right? Or no?
Yeah.
Let's see. It's like a bird dinosaur.
My two favorite animals are the two closest things we have to dinosaurs: cassowaries and crocodiles.
Oh man. Let's see. Nah, because like I know Benoit was like the rabid Wolverine and stuff like that, and I've even thought like, oh, somebody should have a honey badger gimmick because honey badgers are like fierce as fuck. But for you, like the cunning cassowary, Ashton Bond. I'm giggling now. What do I do? God, it's so hard.
The whole reason that they're my favorite animals is because they're close to dinosaurs. So you might as well just delve into the dinosaur nicknames.
Yeah.
Something Rex, maybe.
Yeah. Oh man. I should call you Tyrannosaurus Rex. Because, like, Rex is a legitimate last name, and then you just wreck the competition.
Oh, like WRECKS.
Yeah, but,
that's
like, of course...
similar to Tyler Rex, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but you're, like, better than Tyler Rex, because you're going to stay employed. So, yeah, I'll just call you Ashton Rex, and, like... You'll be this very imposing, cerebral figure. You'll just be like, I'm the last stage of human evolution, aka this is the final form. And you'll just go on a huge run where you become world champion and you have like an 8-month run with it. So yeah, Ashton, right? We'll go with that, mainly because we have other questions to answer. And this is
and then everyone will be chanting, let's go, A-Rex.
Yeah, there you go. And then your t-shirt could be like, you're one move away from extinction. And, you know,
my finisher's name would be Extinction.
There you go. Yeah, see, there you go. All right, we can move on to the next question because I feel like we got a winner here. So,
all right, fourth and final question from Heel Zane. What do you think about the reports that Sasha Banks re-signed with WWE?
I guess no. I'm happy since
hopefully she got paid more money.
I mean, yeah, I guess I'm happy for her if she's happy with the check. And plus, I originally would have said, you know, go to Stardom. But now that EO apparently is going to be showing up, you know, I guess just stay where you're at so we can get that dream match. So, yeah,
that is the dream match. It's Sasha EO, Sasha Tenille, and Tennille Io. And obviously Tennille Io isn't going to happen, and it was never going to happen because Stardom turned Tennille down on the first freaking mention. But we could still get Sasha Io.
Absolutely. So just for that reason alone, and because I'm a selfish prick, yeah, I'm happy she resigned.
All right. So up next, we've got 4 questions from Ben Jr. And then we've got 4 questions from Alex Foster to close out the Q&A. So first question from Ben Jr. Thoughts on the message throughout This Is America, and what will you let a visitor know upon visiting the United States? And this is for both of us. So if you want to go first, you can, or if you want me to, I will.
I'll actually go first. Since you did get a This Is America question solely for you, I feel like I don't want to speak for you, but I feel like that answer will probably be a bit repetitive, given that you just answered that earlier. The message, powerful, because like, here's the thing with me, and you guys should know this. It's the same way with Black Panther. Not only do I appreciate like an aesthetic object most immediately, like whether it's a movie or a music video, I always appreciate the commentary surrounding it by other people, especially those that it's targeted for. Like, for example, Black Panther was clearly a movie for like Black audiences. Therefore, I really care about the Black perspective. Same way with This Is America. Now, there were some people, right, that were critical that said, oh, the message is meaningless. This is only like trotting out Black death, which is, very traumatic. And if you don't get the message by now, I don't really see how This Is America really is going to help, other than, again, to just trot out Black death and aestheticizing it and, making a cash grab. Other people, of course, found it very powerful. Now, me, that doesn't belong to that group, I like the message because I watched it at least twice. I didn't watch it over and over again like a lot of people, but I like how, for me, we only really actively pay attention to Black people and like Black entertainers when they're doing that, when they're entertaining us, when they're bringing out, goods for consumption and stuff like that. But when you look at all the chaos and the disarray, like the Horsemen of the Apocalypse and people throwing themselves off buildings and stuff like that, like we turn a blind eye. I like where the gun used throughout the music video is handled with such care. Meanwhile, the dead bodies are just dragged carelessly on the floor. I thought the message and the images were very powerful. Like, I appreciated it. So, yeah, I think for me personally, I'd give the video a thumbs up. But I know that for the community that it was targeted at, opinions are actually a bit more divided from what I've seen. And as far as a visitor visiting the U.S., yeah, enjoy us not really giving a shit about anybody but the wealthiest people. And enjoy us not really doing anything about a broken healthcare system. And enjoy the college debt if you want to take advantage of our education. And yeah, just have a great time suffering. So yeah, I'd let them know that it'd be a great old time, completely ironically. So what about you, Ashton? Thoughts on This Is America, particularly the message, and what would you tell a foreign visitor here?
Well, as far as the This Is America video, I think as far as you brought up, like, Black people being murdered and stuff, I think that that's an image that not enough people have been exposed to, as far as like they're desensitized to it because they hear about it all the time, but they never see it. So that I think is actually a good thing because you're showing something that happens in the real world through a way that is shocking and kind of really snaps people into it. You know what I mean? Right. So I think that's kind of a good thing in that sense. But then I also think that another message that it gets picked up on, but I don't think it's emphasized enough, is the idea that the guns are treated with more care than the human bodies. Yeah. Yeah, completely agree. I think that's a big one. And then just the whole idea of This Is America in and of itself being a distraction. Like, yeah, obviously it's this great piece of art and it's fun to look at and break down and dissect, but at the end of the day, Childish Gambino is literally telling you, I am a distraction, focus on what matters. And I don't think people are doing that enough. Yeah, for sure. So, Gambino had a great message, but it is sadly being ignored too much. I apologize though, because we did skip over questions that were actually on your pinned tweet, John.
Now, wait, in my defense, can I just defend myself here? I do apologize to Mark, but I just looked at the pinned tweet. I did not see his question. So I don't deny that he asked questions, but is he sure that he added them to my pinned tweet and it wasn't just some separate response? Because I did not see anything from him. I was very good about getting all those questions. So I'm going through his Twitter now in the reply section, finding the questions that he asked. And yeah, I'm not seeing anything right now, but if I can find them. Okay.
I'm telling you, I'm looking at them right now. I can see them right now. I just clicked on your pinned tweet. There are 2 Cliff questions, and then Mark has questions.
I'm telling you, again, just in my defense, when I opened them for whatever reason, I'm looking at them now because I just pulled up Mark's Twitter. But on my thing, I pulled up the pinned tweet. I did not see them. So I sincerely apologize to Mark, but.
Okay, well, hey, man, it's fine. As long as we get through them, apologies to Ben Jr. for breaking your questions up a little bit, but we do want to get to Mark's because he actually did get his questions in on the 27th, so it was sooner than you got them in. So let's get to Mark's. First up, what is your ideal list of G1 competitors and blocks if you'd like?
Ideal list of G1 competitors. I heard rumor. Now, granted, the rumor was started by fucking Meltzer and somebody else, so I don't trust as far as I can throw them. And given that I have no strength whatsoever, that's not at all. Heard rumors that Mundo was going to be doing something with New Japan. I'd love to see Mundo in a G1. I'd love to see him share a block with primarily Okada and Naito. Like, I'd love to see him just face 2 of the best that New Japan has to offer. But yeah, I mean, Okada, Naito, Ishii, Tanahashi, ZSJ. There are 10 competitors in the G1, right? 5 per block. So that's 5. Ibushi, Omega, Makabe. That's 8. Let's see who I wanted to do one, so we don't have to give fucking Cody attention. Fuck Cody.
Tamatonga.
Tamatonga. Great choice. Great pick there. Who else for the 10? Suzuki. Oh, well, Marty's a junior heavyweight though. So, but yeah, Suzuki.
Who you want in the G1?
Yeah, it is who I want in the G1. Do I want Skrull more or Suzuki more? You know what? Fuck it, Skrull. I love Suzuki, but yeah. In fact, you know what? Since it's who I want, we'll just take Makabe out and then we'll put Suzuki in. So perfect.
There you go. All right. So I would say for my A block, I am going to have, let's see here, Okada, Tanahashi, Suzuki, Mundo, Cobb, Hiromu Takahashi, because I don't give a shit about junior versus heavyweight. It's, you know, and since we're doing that, might as well do Will Ospreay. Let's see, Ishii, Naito. We're just gonna load this one up. And then for my 10th competitor, I'm gonna just say Sonata.
All right. Next question.
3 LIJ boys in 1 block.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, baby, because we've also got like 3 or 4 Chaos guys in that block. So
yeah,
it works. All right. What will happen first? Charlotte gets mic skills or Alexa takes a bump?
Alexa taking a bump.
So here's the thing, guys. Physics are a thing. And when you take a back bump, heavier competitors taking a back bump is a lot safer than lighter competitors taking a back bump, because if you are like 200 plus pounds and you take a back bump, there's more cushion and the weight gets spread out more evenly. Whereas if you're Alexa's size, because she's literally like 5 foot nothing and weighs probably like 110, 115 pounds tops, and you take a back bump, it hurts way more than it would for someone that's bigger, which is why Alexa takes a lot of bumps landing feet first, because it's the opposite with your knees. If you're a bigger competitor and you land hard on your knees, it does a hell of a lot more damage than if you're a really small, light competitor and land on your knees. So Alexa's bumping, it's not because she's afraid to get hit, I don't think, although her like selling a kick before it gets there, that's definitely on her. But her taking back bumps by landing on her feet first, like we saw the one like Samoan drop bump from Nia, where she had Sasha and Alexa both up and did the Samoan drop, and Alexa landed feet first before she took the bump. That's not necessarily a terrible thing and like a horrible thing for Alexa. It's not like, oh wow, she's pathetic, she won't take a back bump. It's more just it's her trying to conserve her body, and landing on her feet doesn't do it nearly as much damage to her knees as landing on her back would do to her back and her like head, really, too, because it's like a shock that goes through your whole body. So as far as Alexa bumping, like I don't think she's ever going to have to learn how to do like major back bumps because, quite frankly, it's worse for her than most people because of how tiny she is. And I would argue the same thing for women like Zelina Vega and even like Io Shirai, although Io is just a fucking freak. But we already know she has neck issues, and that could stem from how hard she bumps. We all know that. So, that as far as that goes, that's like I kind of forgive Alexa for that, but she definitely needs to learn how to let people get closer to her when they throw kicks and shit before she sells them. Charlotte's probably never going to get mic skills because she's had 20, no, not even 20. She's had like 32 years of her life that she's been exposed to nobody more than she's been exposed to her father, who is one of the most gifted mic workers in the history of the business, and she still can't fucking do it. So she's just never going to be able to.
Fair enough. Next question from Mark.
Did you answer that question?
I did. I said Alexa takes a bump, and then you went on your thing about physics.
Oh, and I agreed with you. So
yeah.
Has TWitWoW updated its privacy policy? It's a meme in case the question seems weird. And yeah, I know every company is updating their privacy policy because some random court ruling happened in the UK, I think, that changed certain things about privacy policies where companies need to go through more hoops and shit to be able to sell your data to people. And it's like a good thing. But then now all these companies are updating their privacy policy. And no, we haven't updated our privacy policy because we don't fucking have one because we don't collect data.
Yeah. Next.
This one's for you, Johnny Scumbag. Please cut a promo on the toxic hellhole that is Wrestling Stan Twitter.
Oh, now wait, just to clarify, Mark, since I know you're in chat, is Wrestling Stan Twitter when wrestlers have been outed for like shitty behavior and they like and fans stand by them like, oh no, they're still good and stuff like that? Like I want to get an exact definition.
I think Wrestling Stan Twitter is more just like the in general hero worship of wrestlers, and like not only is it just like no matter what they do people will come to defend them, and there are certain wrestlers that you or I might think is shitty that they still have like hardcore fans that think that they're genuinely talented, even though you and I see in our eyes that they're pretty mediocre, like, you know, like the Dana Brooks and Mandy Roses of the world and shit. And not only that, but it's also like the type of people that are like, oh, your favorite wrestler sucks because they haven't won as many titles as my favorite wrestler, and that kind of shit.
Oh, so they're like the Hart family, but not. Yeah.
How more toxic.
Yeah. You know, is this really even something Johnny Scumbag can rant on? I have to get in that mindset.
Oh man, I was really looking forward to this too because I fucking hate Wrestling Stan Twitter.
Yeah, like I guess in a way I consider that, but I don't see. Here's what I don't understand, and this might be the beginning of a rant here, because it's the same thing we're dealing with in like other arts, obviously, with the whole Me Too movement going on. I actually, for one, and it'd be hypocritical for me to say otherwise because of the whole Benoit tragedy, I can appreciate separating the art from the artist. Like, I can appreciate that. But I think there's a difference between separation and absolution. Like, it's one thing to say, man, this guy was really shitty, but man, could he make a fucking movie or could he have a fucking wrestling match? You know, more to the point of what we're talking about. And it's another thing that's saying, man, that guy could have a great fucking wrestling match and he's a great fucking person. Like, never did a fucking thing wrong. Or she, for that matter. And it's like, I don't respect that lack of nuance at all. Because for one, I think it's an unhealthy fucking relationship to have to any performer. It kind of goes back to that whole bad religion thing. Like, sure, listen to people and what they have to say, but don't commit blind worship. I can tell you, like, I love Johnny Mundo as a performer, right? But if it came out tomorrow that, like, he's this really big Trump supporter, which I've kind of had my suspicions about, I would just vehemently reject those politics because you know where I lie on the political spectrum. But these people that are looking to just absolve their idols, even at the cost of their own value system, that is fucking toxic as hell. Not just for everybody like that has to breathe that shit in and witness that shit, but for the person themselves. Like, they're just human fucking beings. You can appreciate their craft, you can appreciate their brilliance, but still understand that they are capable of human folly and faults and ignorant opinions like everybody else. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, what's unhealthy is when you act like that's some kind of indictment on them. How dare you correct that person? Maybe I'm giving this person the opportunity to be better. Sit the fuck down, okay? Stop trying to earn points on your fucking fan card because you think not being critical makes you a better fan than fans that are critical, which in a way could also be an indictment of the fucking WWE product, but I won't even go there. It's like, It would be like if Benoit fans were like, it's the Benoit, and these were the Benoit fans I couldn't stand, that would rather go for conspiracy theories, right? Oh, it was Kevin Sullivan. Oh, it was this, rather than for the idea that this man was severely brain damaged. And I'll be truthful, even before the brain damage, it seemed like there was abuse in that relationship, which is heartbreaking to fucking admit. But guess what? It's a human fucking being, and he can be a shitty one at that. Do I still fucking love the wrestling matches? Yeah, I watched a Benoit Angle match just yesterday. But like, yeah, he was a shit human being at times, and he died a shit human being. Hurts to say it, doesn't make it any less true. Stop acting like, or I shouldn't even say stop acting, stop protecting yourself from fucking reality. Because reality fucking happens. And you want a healthy relationship with the people you like, then for fuck's sake, take stock of their fucking faults. And realize that doing so doesn't make you less of a fan, but honestly, in a way, I think it makes you more of one.
Makes you a healthier fan.
It's a healthier fandom because you're able to appreciate those people in spite of those flaws, not because of them, which is what I think you do when you try and absolve them with your bullshit. You know, it really, I have no fucking time for it, because these people that defend people against all charges, you know, sometimes there is a logical defense. Like, I disagreed, right? When people said, oh, Rollins is unsafe. I thought the Balor thing was a freak accident. Sting was too old to take a bump. And John's actually, no, Balor wasn't even a freak accident. He put his fucking arm out. He took the spot wrong. Cena was a freak accident and Sting was too old. Haven't heard any fucking complaints since, right? But people, again, like the Benoit conspiracy theorist, which is the main example I like to go to, no, it's a shit fucking human being. Like that is the easier, like Occam's fucking razor, motherfuckers. Use it. You know?
I'm still not convinced that it wasn't Kevin Sullivan, John.
Yeah, motherfuck. And you know, like, these are the conversations that make fandoms healthier. And my God, I think another thing about Stan Twitter that kind of is like a byproduct of that, and you know I fucking hate this, the gatekeeping. Oh, well, if you disagree and you do think they're better, well, then you're less of a fan than me. Motherfucker, sit down. Like, sit down before I go off on your ass. Because, no, like, it's stupid. It's fucking stupid. The moment that we elevate somebody above ourselves, it's one thing to say, Seth Rollins is a better wrestler than me, this person's a better philosopher or athlete or whatever than me. But when we say, oh, this person's a god and can do no wrong, you're insulting them, you're insulting yourself, and you're insulting the entire process of fandom that should be a lot fucking healthier than what it is. Grow the fuck up. There's your rant.
There you go. Awesome. Up next, let's get to our second question from Ben Jr., since we kind of had to stop doing his stuff because we forgot Mark Schoeneman and we had to go to him. Second question from Ben.
Actually, Ashton, I don't want to cut you off. Did you fully answer his question about what you would say to a foreign citizen that comes here? Because I know you answered that this is America stuff. I don't know if you answered the second part of this question.
Oh, yeah. That's a good point. A visitor coming to the States. Yeah. First thing I would say is don't try and overly Americanize yourself at first to the degree that you like start trying to speak in English slang and stuff, because that just makes you look like a tryhard, and Americans hate tryhards. So don't do that. Second thing is, I mean, I hate to say this because it's like, it shouldn't be a thing, but the fact of the matter is it is a thing. If you ever get in trouble with the law, just basically become as passive as you possibly can. Do not talk back to anyone. Just let everyone else do the talking and only speak if it is an absolute necessity. And while you do speak, try your best to speak in English, because there are a lot of Americans that get pissed off when people speak in other languages and actually take offense to it, as fucked up as that is. Let's see what else. Don't buy homes, just rent. That's a good, like, long-term money saving thing. What else? Let's see. Maybe try and pay attention to like American pop culture, so you have something to talk to other Americans about and try kind of ingratiate yourself into the culture. That's about all I have, though.
All right, now I think we can move on to the second question.
Second question. Have you guys seen Morrow's Showtime special, and what is your opinion on the idea of Morrow sharing his story? Neither one of us have seen it.
I want to see it, though. Do you want to watch that together?
I do want to see it. And the reason the question is, what is your opinion on the idea of Morrow sharing his story, is because it was like a conditional where it was an if so, blah, blah, blah. If not, what do you think of the idea of Morrow sharing his story? So I just went with that because neither one of us has seen it. As far as the idea of Morrow sharing his story, I think it's great, man. I think it's great that he's getting it out there, that like, because we really have kind of put a dark cloud over this idea of mental health and mental illness, in the sense that, like, you know, Republicans and conservatives and hard right types like to say, oh, it's not a gun issue, it's a mental health issue, basically as if to say, like, if you're mentally ill, you're a plague on America. But I think that Morrow goes pretty far to prove, like, mental illness doesn't define who you are. It's just something that you live with.
I mean, I more or less agree with that. I mean, you guys know that I, as a member of the disability community, albeit primarily with a physical disability, I have done readings on mental disabilities and mental health issues. I think Morrow sharing his story and just being the kind of person that he is, does a bit of good in removing the stigma of mental health. You know, that mental health, people with mental health issues are inherently violent, or they can't be productive, or they look a certain way. You know, I think Morrow's existence is a challenge to a lot of that. Yeah. And him sharing his story, I only wish that him sharing his story, and maybe it might be, would be the beginning of other people being able to share their stories, because there are so many out there.
Well, and I think it would be interesting if Morrow's sharing of his story led to other prominent MMA figures, if they have any kind of like major mental health issues, sharing their stories. And really, if it was like a big name, like a Joe Rogan, who's kind of the voice of UFC, or a Conor McGregor, that would be huge. If they have any kind of mental health issues, just sharing and like kind of sharing that with the world that would really open the door then, because Morrow is like, he is a cult of personality in a very small corner of the world. But if you get a bigger name like a Joe Rogan, or really a Conor McGregor, would be a bigger deal. So many people look up to him and see him as like this like higher figure, that it would really encourage a lot more people to be like, you know what, if he can do it, I know I can do it.
Yeah, well, it's the same word, right, that I've been kind of using with Bianca Belair and stuff. It comes back to representation. I think Morrow's a very positive representation of disability as it relates to a mental health issue, you know, him being bipolar. And I think other people can look at that and be like, you know, maybe it isn't so bad. Maybe, you know, I can make something, and, you know, maybe I can navigate this space. And maybe people that make the space so much harder than what it has to be can look at it and be like, oh, maybe my preconceived notions of mental health were incorrect. So yeah, I definitely think it's a positive thing on the whole.
All right, man, let's move on. Third question from Ben Jr. What is your favorite quote and why? Are you still there, John? Hello, John. Guys, John is still in the call, but he's not saying anything, and his mic isn't muted, it doesn't look like, so I don't really know what's going on with him. Ben Jr.'s third question here. Can everyone hear me? Can you guys hear me? I think we're still live. I think I'm still talking. I don't know what's going on with John, but nobody can hear John. And I guess I'm going to answer this question. So as far as favorite quote goes, I just, to keep it as simple as possible, I'm going to just say that my favorite quote that comes to the mind immediately is the quote from Rick and Morty. Nobody belongs anywhere. You know, we're all going to die. That quote from Morty, after he, you know, has to explain to Jessica, or to explain to Summer about how he had to bury his own body in the backyard and shit, talking about how nobody belongs anywhere. Nobody, you know, nobody exists on purpose. Nobody belongs anywhere. Everybody's going to die, that kind of thing. So that, I think that's kind of my favorite quote that comes to mind right away. I don't know what the hell is going on with John. I'm going to try. I don't know what the fuck is going on, John. I'm going to kick John out, I think. Maybe I shouldn't do that. Try leaving the call if you can hear me, John. Try leaving the call and then coming back. I'm gonna see what I can do here. Sure you want to? Okay, I'm gonna eject John from the video call, and I'm gonna try a new Hangout link. and we'll see how this works. If it works, it might not work at all, actually. I sent him a new Hangout link, though. He said that it's glitching the fuck out, and I quote. So we'll see if he's able to join us. And this is really unfortunate. So if I tell you what, guys, if John is unable to rejoin us here, what we're going to do is we're going to cut off the Q&A here, unfortunately, based just on technical issues. We will answer Ben Jr.'s last question and Alex Foster in our June Q&A. And we'll just continue then in our June Q&A with the rest of the questions as if nothing ever happened. So we're going to save Ben Jr.'s fourth question and Alex Foster's 4 questions for June. I hate to do this, guys, but John, we're having some kind of technical difficulties. He just said still won't let me in. So John cannot get back into the Hangout. We're going to have to close it out here, guys. It's a really unfortunate situation, but we're still going to answer all of your questions. And Ben Jr. and Alex Foster, who I know you guys are the ones that are going to have questions carried over, still ask June questions, and we but we're going to answer these at the very beginning of our June Q&A as well. So we will we'll see you guys for it says you're not allowed to join. Well, regardless, we're going to call it here, guys. We will see you all for I think our next commentary is actually Sunday. So we'll see you guys for BOSJ days 11 and 12 on Sunday. And until then, everyone should remember to like the video, leave a comment, subscribe, click the bell, all that fun stuff. Follow us both on Twitter, like the Facebook. If you're interested in supporting us, you can do so one of 3 ways. You can either buy our merch on our Teespring, donate to our Patreon, or if you want to support us for absolutely free, all you have to do is share this video. And really, this probably isn't the best video to share, but share our channel with all your wrestling fan friends. Let them in on the best kept secret in the YWC. And guys, unfortunate situation here, but remember to get your Q&A questions in for June, and that does include both you, Alex Foster, and you, Ben Jr., because we will be answering 4 more questions from each of you if you've got them for June. On the 28th of June, it's actually my little cousin's birthday. She'll be turning, I think, like 22 this year, 23. Yeah, June 28th is our next Q&A. Make sure to get your questions in for that. Apologies for having to cut this short, but we will see you guys on Sunday. And of course, remember to stay tuned.